All right, and greetings everyone. It is Max, and we are back, and we're going to go through our checks and balances and all of the things to make sure it is running. And it looks like I have audio, so we are all good. Good evening, Darren. First one in the chat. Everyone, remember, push the thumbs up thing, and that's how the old algorithm works. I'm sure you hear that in every single video on YouTube. Anyways, today we are joined. We got Eli is back again, and we of course have.
Hey.
And today we're going to talk briefly about our Great Reset conspiracy. If anyone is out there has heard of the Great Reset conspiracy or anything about that, I don't know. Have you guys heard anything about this Great Reset being a conspiracy? This crazy idea that they're resetting the economic system.
Right. Well, it's not great, maybe from their point of view, but yeah, I've heard a lot about it. I think we all have. I've studied it for about 5 years now, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it, especially with last year, whenever it came to the whole thing of, the finagling going on with the election and everything else. Yeah, whenever I just kept hearing that, oh, well, eventually the dollar's going to crash and everything else, it's like, that ain't no theory anymore.
Yeah, when did they start talking really seriously about the dollar crashing? Was that's been
an audible for 10 years.
Well, yeah, by the people who are in the people who are in the libertarian camp with what's his name?
Yep.
Ron Paul, of course, Ron Paul's been talking about that for 15 years, 20 years.
Right.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of, on Forbes.
On the wall. Yeah. Yeah. It's mainstream.
So this news is, this article is from the BBC, which people who out there who don't know, this is basically the CIA for Europe. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's the PBS, BBC, all of their state-run, public-run, tax dollar organizations to put out your very weak sauce sort of propaganda. And they say, what is the Great Reset? Like they don't know. And how did it get hijacked into a conspiracy theory, right? So according to this article, they go through all the places where Great Reset is mentioned. Of course, we got, Satan Klaus. Yeah.
Ooh, Nazi guy.
Who wrote a book called The Great Reset, which describes exactly what they're doing with their plans. And it was a book that was written for all the people that are in the big club about what their wonderful plans are for everything, right?
Yes.
So is it a conspiracy theory? I mean, I don't know.
No,
I mean, is it
take the theory out of it? What does that leave you? The conspiracy fact at this point.
The conspiracy is the fact they wrote a book and they brag about it. Okay, that's the fact, and it is a conspiracy. It is a conspiracy by these guys.
All the time.
By these guys. So we want to look at whether or not we're going to fact check the BBC article as to whether or not this is, a conspiracy theory.
British buffoonery company.
We'll look up here, and we have Cooties 19 building blocks of the Great Reset. So as I had mentioned, I don't know how many times, maybe not as often as I should have, but the reason that I am so heavy into cryptocurrency is because the whole plan behind Cooties 100% is this Great Reset and making your money worthless, wiping out people's 401ks and retirements and Social Security and go into the New Deal. Okay.
Redistribution of wealth.
So you have to find some way to preserve your wealth. And it's not going to be Federal Reserve notes with the little all-seeing eyes in your pocket. That is what is going on. So this article kind of just explains that. And this is from the World Economic Forum, where they brag about their Great Reset plans. It looks like a conspiracy. And this little graphic here, I don't know if it'll pull up or not, but this little graphic here is on one of the very first videos I did back when Cooties was first done in like February or March, somewhere in there, right in the beginning. I'm like, here it is, guys. Here's your great.
Look where
What do you got either?
I was going to say, look at the curation, Georgetown University.
Jesuits.
Yep.
Yes, in this Georgetown University, and where the big key was to that was the Rockefeller Institute came out with their plan, and that for the whole thing that leads right into the Great Reset. And then the IMF, World Bank, and Federal Reserve came out and said they would fund the Cooties relief until 2025.
That's it.
Okay. Said this 2 years ago. Now, What do we have to say for 2025? Okay, now we have Pew Research Center. Experts say the new normal. We've all heard that, right? After the new normal. For what date do they say? 2025. Okay, so our little operation, our little conspiracy is going to run till 2025. It's already down in the cards, just like it was down in the cards for 10 years ago, written down as to how the whole thing would play out.
Sure.
And
yeah, Illuminati card game.
It's not a coincidence. We'll look at some of these. We'll look at some of these bullet points from. This is from the Pew Research Center. Now they have people. They didn't poll too many people. About 1,000 people that they pulled from all different walks of life. But these people, the respondents foresee significant change that will worsen the economic inequality. Right. As if it's not bad enough already, with the top 0.001% owning everything and everyone else. And it's funny because we see that in America, yet we still have it pretty good, where even the slaves, we're still actually we have cable.
Well-to-do, no doubt, man.
No, enhance the power of big technology firms. Like that's not going on. Multiply the spread of misinformation. Oh no.
Can't be a free
all of these things that they're worried about. Inaugurate new forms aimed at racial justice and social equality. So we got our woke culture. It's been right there coming on up. Enhance the quality of life for many families and workers. Really? What's the metric on that, you think? Produce technology enhancements. Yes, the New World Order coins and all of those things.
Right.
We go to the next article here is from Elon University. The new normal again, different place in 2025. The new normal. Now this research took me about 5 seconds to find.
Sure.
So for anyone who is out there who's wondering about, if all this stuff is connected with cooties and with the Great Reset talk and the economic collapse and all of that, and it's all just one big coincidence, and everyone just happens to be picking these dates, just coincidence. No, this is all a planned thing. And because it's a planned thing, it makes it very easy to prepare and hedge yourself a little bit and set yourself up so that you're one of the ones that are, doing pretty good.
Right.
Because if you're just going along to get along and not keeping your head up and kind of keeping aware of what's going on around you, you're going to be on the train. Yes. You'll be in line.
To the FEMA camps.
Mm-hmm.
Headed on the line and the train. And I don't think
for me.
I don't think that personally that we're going to have the FEMA thing going on here. It's going to be a voluntary people out of work and people need a place to go. Like they already have tent cities and stuff in California. Yeah, I don't know. We all have different ideas about that. And we can talk about that, as we get through the articles, we can talk about that. But, some places you look at Australia could be, America, who knows?
Test ground.
I'm more worried about the health impact of cooties and what they're sticking people up with than I am about the economic system.
Me too.
So in this one only had 1,000 respondents too, but about 47% said life will mostly be worse for most people in 2025 than where it was before cooties. Well, I can pretty well, for most people, I would say most people, yes. But you know what? The people who listen to me and listen to Jack and listen to Eli and the people who know what's going on and have how long Jack have you been studying the conspiracy sort of back alleys?
I was about 12, 13.
There you go. Old. Very experienced handler we have here. And I myself have been looking into this stuff at least since 2010. And yeah, it's kind of like we're too early. And now we see it coming. 39% said life would mostly be better for most people. These are the people in line, right? These are the people in the cooties line.
You'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
These are probably people who are very close to retirement in that age.
Show me a
who figure that by 2025 they'll be retired and they'll be living on their non-existent 401ks. I don't know. 14% said life in 2025 will not be much different. Well, if you're spend most of your time doing frivolous, meaningless things, and you don't really care about anything other than just doing your job and going home and watching Netflix, playing video games, and really not doing much with yourself, your life won't change. Won't change at all. Probably be on some form of UBI, and you can buy your ramen noodles, and it's enough to pay for whatever video game you want to play, and
So calm.
it's going to be fine.
So
Oh,
common.
good
Ramen
game.
noodles. What more
Yeah.
does a man need?
Hey, you know,
Nowadays, it's Call of Duty.
some
Oh,
people
don't
are,
ever bring that up around me, please.
yeah, some people are happy and fine to do that, and that's whatever. But I'd like to
Damn,
think
it's
that
sad.
that's not the Christian people who understand they're put here for a reason, and they're here to use their talents
Absolutely.
and
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
spread the gospel and do all,
Show the
you know,
light.
do something.
Right.
you know?
Yeah. We're children of the light, so that's what we got to do.
You got it, man.
I thought I had another article up here, but I guess I don't. So we've got the 2025s up in here, and we got our World Economic Forum, and everyone's labeling it a great reset and the new normal. So what do we think? Is this a conspiracy theory that's just all blowed up and there's nothing to it, or no? This is
Well,
what's
it's
going
obvious. It's been pain. They've spoke about this for 60 years.
on. Yeah,
This is well old. Goes back to the Committee of 300. I can speak about this stuff for days, but at the end of it, it's Lucifer, the fallen one, Satan now. He's in control. He's a little g god of this world. He's got minions that work for him. That again, it goes
Exactly.
back to the royal family and that royal bloodline.
yeah.
That's it. I mean, there's a lot in between that, but most of us get that. It's Ephesians 6:12. There's a lot of scriptures that cover it.
Mhm.
The Lord woke me up to those passages years ago, and I'm like, oh, this stuff is literal. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially whenever I got saved, that it's where the Lord started to show me that it's like, oh, well, when they say that all roads lead to Rome, it's like, why is it that the Illuminati, the Jesuits, and all the rest of them all connected with the Vatican? It's like, now I know why.
Yes, sir. Knights
That's why
Templar
we're
and
in
the
a
rest of
war.
it.
That's why
Yeah.
we're in a war every 20 or 30 years.
Bingo, man. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the.
Population, money, and control. You know, the military-industrial complex.
Do you think they're going to do the war thing now again, or?
Yep, they're going to do it with Iran.
I don't
Think
know.
so?
I think I'm on the fence about that. I think that's more of an audible. There could be some truth to that. I mean, all bets are off at this point to me, because it's a Twilight Zone episode. But from what I get out of it, it's like the war, as far as World War III, is not traditional. It's contemporary now, but people can't see it because I go back to that 5th generational warfare. It's all psychological. We're in
Yeah.
the middle of it now. That's what I would argue, but that's just my perspective because of what you see taking place and shape right now. They don't have to press a button for anything. Why? There's no soldiers even necessary to be placed on the ground at this point.
Well, that's but you want people to be out there. Otherwise, how are you going to get rid of people?
Well,
So
then
I
they-
saw I saw that when they're having like, we could just have giant robots fight each other for wars and stuff, and it's like, yeah, that ain't the point. That ain't the
Gear.
point. No, the point is to go get people in there. I don't know. You get in.
Yeah, no doubt.
If all of this stuff actually would lead to a world war, then that's the imminent coming of Jesus, right? So
Sure.
Yep, amen.
it's kind of like cheer it on, woohoo. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of them are
I
actually
was-
promoting it. They're trying to speed it up because they've been
I
fooled
was,
by Satan and these secret societies.
I was
It's
thinking
interesting.
more along the lines of just, America going after somebody, or
Yeah.
because right now China and Russia are breaking away from having to listen to what America says about anything, and
Sure.
Well, good
They-
for Russia.
even though everybody is all kind of buddy, the political front is that everybody's
Right.
enemies, right?
Right.
So
right.
you'd be like, don't you mess around with Hong Kong, China, or we'll come over there,
Yeah, maybe a
Um,
little skirmish here and there. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you make a good point too. So I mean, it's like Eli said, every 20 years or so.
Yeah.
Every 200 to 400 years,
Yeah.
there's a global or plane reset. But who knows? Who really knows? It's all up in the air at this point. But it's all about control and confusion.
Yeah.
That's
And
the psychological part. Go ahead, Eli.
I was just going to say that, the reason I mentioned that of Iran is because since pretty much the majority of that of the Middle East is considered that of Sunni Islam, and of course that of Iran is considered Shia Islam, and they ultimately want to have their one world type of caliphate within that, which the Sunnis are really controlled by the Vatican and everything
Bingo.
else.
Absolutely.
And so if they get rid of the Shia Muslims, then they can have their little caliphate. That's why they would have the U.S. go in, or British forces go in there and then basically try to overthrow the country like what they wanted to do in 1953.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's something
the
I've
big-
heard about for a long
the big
time. So maybe,
stickler problem that I see that is going to be happening though is with a lot of these places are controlled by money, and if
what I was
fiat
just gonna say,
currency
right?
if fiat currency isn't worth anything, and
Muammar
things
Gaddafi.
like Bitcoin exist, you got kind of a problem. You already have countries that are taking off and just going to use Bitcoin. They're not going to go to war.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if these countries that they tried to invade, it's like they all of a sudden took Bitcoin?
Well,
Exactly.
all the ones that they're trying to invade are on Bitcoin. Iran's doing Bitcoin.
Really?
I didn't
Yeah,
know
they're
that.
not.
Didn't
Iran's
know
not
that.
using Bitcoin as their currency, but Iran is using Bitcoin that they're doing their oil trades and everything
Trades?
with, because they have sanctions.
Interesting.
Same thing with Russia has the same sanctions on it that Iran has, I think. And so Russia's
Oh.
just has their own system that they use to trade with China and trade with everyone else. It's that
Right.
the SWIFT system.
Right.
Yeah, is their economic sanctions, right? So Iran's kicked off SWIFT, Russia's kicked off SWIFT, and I'm not sure about China. But the Saudis are selling their oil to Russia and all these different places for like Bitcoin. So
Yeah, I think China pretty much primarily trade in body parts. So
yeah,
their money's
China's
pretty
got
strong.
deals
yeah.
for their yuan, which I thought was very surprising. Where
Yeah,
like
no
dollar
kidding.
must be pretty bad if the Saudis will take the yuan for their oil.
Yeah. Isn't that why most of these business guys always have to watch the China markets?
Yeah, well,
Let 'em do it.
we can talk about what's going on in, it's not China technically, but it is China, right? It's Hong Kong stock market. Hong Kong is where all of everything happens.
Right.
Hong Kong, Taiwan are where all the chips for the world are made.
Mhm.
They have a pretty big market there, and Evergrande is their big player that does all of the housing stuff, kind of like Freddie and Fannie or Bernie and whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever
Fannie
it
Mae,
is
Freddie
for
Mac.
Fannie
Yep.
and Freddie Mac. Okay, so that's
Correct.
what Evergrande is to China, and they had a big they couldn't pay their credit card bill, right?
Right,
So
right.
they're $300 billion in debt because companies under fascism, like the world is kind of all under fascism. I mean,
Yay.
they're technically communist, but all that means is that the state owns all of the businesses.
That's it.
So it's still fascism.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
So
kin cousins, no doubt.
what ends up happening is all of these companies, they just borrow money to pay their bills and keep borrowing and keep borrowing and keep borrowing and racking up more debt. And as long as they have enough revenue to make the minimum payment, they're good.
Yep.
And that's what it's because debt, the interest rate's been going down and down and down ever since
There you go.
2008. And it's when you can borrow money cheaper than what the inflation rate is, there's no reason not to do that. And that's what a lot of companies in America do. And that's what Hong Kong does. But you
Sure.
can't keep that up forever.
No,
It's like
Money
once
printer.
once you raise the
Right.
interest rate 0.25%, the entire thing falls down.
Yep.
And so all of these places here in Hong Kong are going to get bailed out by China, and they're going to inflate their currency. America will probably bail them out because they'll be too big to fail. And next thing you know, the Americans will have to pay, in theory, to bail out Hong Kong. And
it's all a Ponzi scheme.
right. This affected the American markets too. And yeah,
Oh,
it's all
absolutely.
a Ponzi scheme.
Money printer go brrr.
Yeah. And that's not by
ones and zeros, man.
it's partially because they have to do it, but it's also was the plan, right? It's also the plan. The plan is to inflate the currency, make it worthless, and make people
got it.
beg, government, please help me. Government,
I wanna own
please.
nothing and be happy.
Government, please. And we have the old Hegelian dialectic. Of course, they
That's
create the
it.
problem, and then they swoop in and go, "Oh, we got a better system."
Solution for you.
Right. Just like the problem where they didn't have enough gold to pay out to people. So it's like, well, we'll just go off the gold standard. It's just temporary.
And there's tons of it. There's plenty of gold. There's no shortage on that. It's
Well,
interesting.
Yeah, they
there
got
was
tons of it.
there was at the time because apparently America
He
doesn't
who
believe in
controls it. Right. Gold standard.
the at this moment, the Vatican controls most of it.
You
but-
got it.
Yeah, most of it
Absolutely.
through their Knights of Malta.
Yep. Bingo, man. I hear you.
And but now we
You
have
know what's
digital.
up, man. I hear you.
Now we've got digital gold. So
Yay.
now we've got that.
I'll take a
And,
digital ounce or two of that.
Yeah, here's the thing, we're talking
at
about
that.
the Great Reset and hedging for the future and trying to preserve your wealth and your assets. You want to buy things right now that, some things, look out for things that you need that are from China, because the prices
Right.
are going up like
Ridiculously.
crazy.
Yes.
And I talk about this all the time, and I'm a price change guy, and your food is going up 10-15%. It is. Last Monday I had to hang 1,100 tags. Okay.
Dang.
In a small grocery store in a town of
Wow.
5,000 people. I had to hang 1,100 tags. And the day before that, I hung 1,100 tags.
That's crazy.
Okay,
Why
that's
must you torture us?
That's all in all, that was like probably 12 hours worth of straight hanging tag work.
Man.
No sitting down, hanging tags, all raising prices.
But
All
that's
right.
crypto money, man. That's crypto
So,
money.
right. So with the money you have, and right now the market is very low because of this problem that is going on in Hong Kong. September is historically a very weak for investments. Everything kind of crashes in September. It has some things to do with astrology and whether or not that's a real thing, or whether
Bingo.
or not the people. I mean, I think there's probably something to it because it's all God stuff, and how all that works. But
Oh yeah, no doubt.
regardless if there's anything to it really or not, the people who are behind the scenes with the economy and everything and all the bigwigs, they all believe in this stuff.
Sure.
So things tend to coincide with these, whether or not it's people doing it or it's just part of the way it works in the system and electromagnetic fields and how everything works. I don't know. But right now is a fairly decent time to enter into the market and preserve some wealth in Bitcoin. I'm not saying about any other coin that's out there. Sure, there's some other ones that are good, but Bitcoin is going, everybody is, when your dollars aren't worth anything, what else are you going to do? You have to go into gold, you have to go into silver, or you have to go into Bitcoin. Now, of the three, which one can you move? If you need to sell your house or you need to move someplace, you need to, whatever happens.
Freedom
Okay.
seeds. They
How
move quickly.
easy is it to lug around your gold, and how secure
Right.
is your gold can be taken
Yeah.
from you? And there's
That
nothing wrong with gold is cheap right now. They're keeping that market down to make sure that people don't realize how much their dollar is
Yeah.
not worth anything.
You know it.
But then
Absolutely.
there's also Bitcoin, which anywhere that you go, any place that you go, you will always have access to it. And there you go. Just saying, just sign up on an exchange somewhere so it's at least available to you should you need to do that. And the other thing too, you think, is just to even have an exchange available to you is so if you need to send money to somebody, you can just buy some cryptocurrency and send it to them, and you don't pay any fees, anything. All right. There's a lot more to it than investing or anything else. You can use it just as a currency. Trust me, in the next couple of years, some people are only going to take something like Bitcoin. If you need to hire a contractor to do your roof or something, and depending on the state of affairs and how the dollar fluctuates or whatever, they may only take crypto. There are people right now that will only take crypto for consulting and things like that. There are people that insist on being paid in crypto, aka
Sure.
rich people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the professional athletes insist on crypto. There's tax reasons for that too, but
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
it is worthwhile to know a little bit about it and understand that the money that you have been saving and keeping and save for the future has always been kind of the motto for a long time. And it's like, boy, I don't think that has actually been true in 20 years, if not
Yeah.
longer. And that's not something that I came to that conclusion. It's just more like doing research in the last year and two and figuring out where things went, is that, man, really spending money and living on debt was kind of the way to go and the way the system was set up. But that is a system designed to fail.
Yep.
And now it's time to take your cheap money and the stuff they want to give you and put it into hard assets and, buy
And people
food
are
when it's
starting to
cheap.
take their cash out of the bank quickly, since the new directive came down as far as the IRS being able to be a spy. I believe it's a $600 mark.
Yeah,
You're
$600.
Yep, that's crazy. So I keep just a minimum amount to, pretty much pay for what I have to. That's
Yeah.
auto deducted every month, and that's it. The rest of it, I'll take it out. It's like you just said. It's back to the 40s, 50s. I've got a mattress with a hole in it. So
Can you believe that? And when the money laundering laws were put into place during the 1920s, I think, where you have Al Capone and these guys were running drugs and running alcohol and liquor, and this is where these laws come into place, where if you're depositing or taking out more than $10,000 back in 1920, what is that, like $1 million today?
yeah,
Right?
a lot of money.
Yeah, it would
So
have been.
they've kept that law on the books and been using that this entire time, as $10,000 isn't really much of anything. It's hard to buy a car for $10,000,
No doubt.
right? That's
Right,
not
yeah.
even most people. That's like maybe a couple of months pay, maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But back in the 20s, it's like people would work a long time to see $10,000, and that's
better
when the
believe
law
it.
was implemented. And now they're going down to $600. That's not even a paycheck.
Yeah,
Right.
and what's really strange is that when you have, like you mentioned with Al Capone and them, then whenever in 1934, when they passed a certain unconstitutional law, making it to where if you wanted to buy a machine gun or whatever,
we
you
go.
had to pay a $200 tax stamp directly to
Yep.
them. $200 would have been like, what, a month's salary?
Probably,
a couple of grand, no doubt.
probably in the 20s.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But again, it's a system that we've allowed because we've become complacent and people have very short memories. We're
Yeah.
checks and balances. We are the government. People
This
have been
is-
taught differently.
Mhm.
So that's where we're at. Because all I hear is this one word, and it just I shiver when I hear it. Oh, it's democracy. No, it's
Oh,
not.
gee.
They gave us a republic, people.
Representative
Study.
Republic.
Amen.
Yeah, well, it's easy nowadays where you can point out the people who don't think very much, and it's just sad to
Oh,
see that
man.
there's so many of them.
NPCs
And-
just everywhere.
Oof. There's a roll on, yay, communism.
Yeah, and then they just cry, Orange Man bad.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just
Well,
sick.
what's worse than that, though, is the people that are the conservatives thinking that he's coming back.
All right.
And it's
Oh,
like,
my
well,
goodness.
would you want him back?
Nope.
He was here at the beginning of the cooties thing,
I wouldn't
Yep.
be surprised if they did push him again. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, me either. That's just how deluded people are. He's not our
So-
savior. The Lord said, put no faith in no man. No
Amen.
trust. It's a system. I get it. If people want to vote, that's fine. I
Well,
come
we're-
to that particular truth years ago. Max knows where I stand on that. I agree with him wholeheartedly on that system. Now, on a local level, that's a little different.
Yeah,
I
or
can
state
respect
level.
that. Right. But as far as the big, if it hadn't been proven in the past 20 years that it's all rigged, then again, where's people's discernment?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
just, it is what it is, man.
Yeah,
It's all corrupt. It's all rigged.
That's why with most of these, well, I don't know if it's probably been like even since, well, I'd say probably even since 1964, when of course up until then it's like after that presidents were basically selected, not elected.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think it was Eisenhower is the last guy in there.
Mhm.
He's like,
No, Kennedy was.
oh, well,
Was
yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess it was. He didn't make it very far, did he?
'Cause my dad knew Eisenhower. He was actually friends with him.
Oh, Eisenhower's up there going, yeah, well, you got the military industrial complex and the medical industry. You got all this stuff. You guys got to watch out for that. He's bye.
Yeah. Dad used
Yeah.
to talk about that when I got older, man. I told you about that. He worked for the underground Pentagon.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, man. He did some subcontract work with NASA. So he really had some interesting stories about a lot of that.
Yeah. Whenever my dad was talking with my grandfather long before he passed, because he was in, I think, like the Army Reserves, and he also dealt with like ballistics and stuff like that.
Okay.
And whenever he asked him about with the Kennedy assassination, and he was just like, like, do you think the whole thing of like that Oswald did it? He goes, there's no flipping way
Yeah,
that a
there's no
bullet
way.
goes like this or that and everything. No, they covered that thing up.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting that they came out with the movie.
Yeah.
And that basically said it was all a lie. And I'm like, well, why would you do that? You just boasting? I don't
Yeah.
understand that. then
Yeah. Then you can look up the video from the James Files guy who was in
Absolutely.
Joliet prison, and he actually had the paper signed by Oliver Stone there.
Yep. Fact.
because we were talking about the $600 thing, and everybody see, here's why people don't. I mean, obviously, I'm already out there in a limb when I say you got to buy Bitcoin, but when I say don't use banks,
They're gonna
you know,
come get
people,
you.
people are going to be like, oh, now he's lost it. It's like, look, I haven't really had to use a bank for a long time, and
Oh, I didn't for 15 years.
it's
It was
just
tough,
like,
but you learn ways, you know.
yeah, I mean, obviously, if you could, what I mean by that too is you have a bank account, you just don't keep anything in it.
Bingo.
And then when you need to pay bills, you put the amount of money in there to write your checks to pay your
That's it.
bills.
That's it.
Right.
And that's how you roll.
Right.
I put money into my bank account and then it immediately goes to the crypto exchange.
You got
And
it.
that's it.
I have two
and-
cards
Yeah,
too,
good
Max.
point.
That's it.
And so I don't know. That's what I have to say on that. But Darren Dillon brings up that the U.S. government's trying to regulate crypto, and it's like, yeah, they can try. Okay, here's the thing too.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Here's what I mean by hard assets, all right, and tangible assets. I talk about gold and silver. Of course, it goes back thousands of years and all this stuff, and it's biblical money. And yes, people can take it from you. People cannot take your Bitcoin from you. Not anybody. No government on the planet can stop Bitcoin. Nobody can stop Bitcoin. It's been tried and proven
Right.
for
Because I
for
didn't believe
10
that either.
11, 12 years now. People have, attacked Bitcoin.
Yep.
And it's still going. All of the miners, over 70% of the mining activity that needs to take place for Bitcoin to do transactions and for new blocks to be created for Bitcoin, over 70% of that existed in China. And it was just a couple of months ago, they all got, one day, instantly, all got kicked out of China.
Yep.
Now, the mathematical formula and the hash rate for Bitcoin dropped severely, dropped 70% because of the miners. But Bitcoin continued on without missing a beat. Okay, the price dropped as a result of that, but Bitcoin itself and the actual methodology of transacting and doing what it does and existing on the blockchain, nothing stopped, didn't pause, kept right on going. And it's because it's so decentralized and nobody owns it. There is no Bitcoin company. There's no Bitcoin company. People own nodes. There's thousands upon thousands of nodes. I think 10, 15,000 nodes all over the world. And you can't shut them all down. If only one exists, if Bitcoin exists on one person's computer, it doesn't matter if you turn the internet off. As soon as you turn it back on, there's Bitcoin again. It cannot be
encrypted
confiscated.
algorithm.
Right. It
took
cannot
me
be.
months to look into it. Look, Max convinced me because I was hardcore against it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He'll tell you that because I was that same guy that was like, wait a minute.
I was that guy too.
Right.
Okay.
They're going to use this against us. Okay.
Right.
There's always that potential. Which system do you want to go with? Which one is more secure? Which one actually has potentially more intrinsic value based on something?
Yeah.
The thing is with Bitcoin is that it's decentralized. Nobody owns it.
That's my
Okay.
main point.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Wales, some guy owns a whole bunch of Bitcoin. He can manipulate the markets maybe a little bit, but so what? He doesn't have any more ability, any more control over me than anybody else who owns Bitcoin.
That's right.
The governments cannot stop Bitcoin because VPNs exist, decentralized exchanges exist. I can go to El Salvador. El Salvador is more than happy to take my money.
Yep.
Okay. Soon it's going to be Mexico. Soon it's going to be Brazil.
Costa
There's
Rica.
a whole bunch of countries right now who are just watching El Salvador, watching what problems that El Salvador runs into that they can try to avoid when they launch it themselves. So this whole idea of especially like Bitcoin being the mark of the beast and this and that, and it's like, no, the stuff you're using right now is the precursor to the mark of the beast. This phony baloney system with the all-seeing eyes on it.
But it says
Bitcoin,
in God we trust.
the only negative thing about Bitcoin, that the only thing about it is if somebody it's an anonymous way to transact, but it is not a perfectly private way to transact, which is a good thing in my opinion. But anyways, if someone really wanted to, or you gave someone your address, they can find out how much Bitcoin you have in that particular wallet. And the solution is have many wallets. There you go.
Yeah,
Right.
like a Trezor or a Ledger.
Yeah, have several wallets and for different transactions. But the point being is, even if you lost, your computer blows up, or you lost your hardware wallet, your actual Bitcoin or cryptocurrency exists on the internet. It does not matter that your computer blew up. It does not matter you lost your Trezor.
Encryption code, you're good.
You have your 12 or 16 seed phrase. You can go to any application that has access to cryptocurrency, and you can type in your seed phrase, and there is your wallet with all your stuff. So there isn't any way that the government can deal with that. And they're a little bit, it's like you've got your divergent culture here. You're going to have the people and the commies who want to live in the big cities, and they'll own nothing and they'll be happy, according to Satan Klaus. And then you're going to have the outliers who will be using their own money, and it could be Bitcoin, right?
And Max Beyond Thunderdome.
It could be Bitcoin, or it could be something else, or you could have your gold and silver, or whatever you want to. But that is what is out there. Now, there are other cryptocurrencies that are vying to be the new world order coin. They are trying to be, hey, look at me, Satan. I got a pretty good new world order coin, right? It's the same technology, but it's a totally different purpose. Bitcoin was created, in fact, after the 2008, when the government bailed out all these corporations that failed.
Yep.
And stuck the taxpayers with the bill. Bitcoin was created. It's part of the very first block of Bitcoin in there with the newspaper article that says Fed bails out such and such company, and basically bails out Wall Street. And that is why Bitcoin is here. And that's what it is. Now, not all cryptocurrencies are created the same. So anyone who doesn't know about this stuff, just look at Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There are, like I said, there's a lot of new world order coins out there who are all up trying to get the government contracts, trying to enslave people, because that's what they want, you know.
You better believe it. Useless eaters, just be a serf, man, and bow down.
Yeah, I think it'd be US dollar coin.
Yeah.
US dollar coin is actually a real thing, and that is a stable coin by Coinbase. And there's nothing inherently wrong with US dollar coin. The government, we talk about regulation. Stable coins are a coin that when you're trading on cryptocurrency, and we'll say your Bitcoin goes up by $5,000 and you want to sell your Bitcoin, but you don't want to bring it into actual US dollars into your bank account and incur taxes and all this stuff. You can put it into a stable coin, which holds the exact same value as a US dollar, right? Except it's still on the exchange, and you know, it's easily transactable. Now you could take these US dollar coins and say you could send those to somebody in Mexico and not have to pay any wire fees. And you can pretty much, it's as good as a dollar. So you can pretty much buy anything with a US dollar coin that is not minted by the Federal Reserve. It's something that Coinbase made. Now, Binance has a Binance coin. Tether, there's a Tether coin. There's all of these coins that are stable coins, and the government probably will crack down on those because they're direct competition. There is no reason to use Federal Reserve notes. None. They already exist in stable coins. So just use that. And you better believe when Amazon's rolling out, or is it PayPal? PayPal is rolling out where you can buy crypto on PayPal.
Yep. They
in Europe right
2
now.
months ago.
Yes, sir. So there is no question that when Amazon does this stuff, you'll be able to have a stable coin and be able to buy with stable coins. At that point, zero reason for a bank. None. There is no reason ever. Is your bank giving you any interest? No.
None.
Guess what? You get 6-7% on a US dollar coin. Okay.
Bingo.
So yeah. And that's the world of crypto, and that's it. The government's going to regulate your on and off ramps and all of these things that they'll try to do. But again, decentralization is coming to where you're not going to have a corporation to go after like Bitcoin. They can't do anything to Bitcoin because there's no corporation to go after.
Exactly.
And
all I've been hearing for the past 6 months about this, and I know it goes back further, but it's interesting. It's like, oh, you're alt-right. they're the new terrorist. Okay, well, anybody is. I mean, my God.
Oh, right, right.
It's just
People-
like,
Oh
you
boy.
tied your shoe wrong today. Get it.
negative-
Who's a terrorist? Okay.
The negative things you're going to hear about cryptocurrency in general from, of course, the opposing faction, right?
Sure.
We're going to hear from
Art of
Satan
war.
himself.
Right.
Basically, is that Bitcoin is used to traffic to pay for criminal activity. Well, that would be really
believe
dumb because you can track the transactions for Bitcoin right
Right.
back to the individual wallets. So that would be really stupid to do that. Number one. Number two, all of those things are based in US dollars that is actually used for crime and stuff. So
You got it. You got it.
if anything, you want your criminals to use Bitcoin because it's completely trackable. So that one's out. The other one you hear a lot is that Bitcoin uses too much energy. When the truth of the matter
Yeah.
is that running
off.
your Christmas lights at Christmas time in America uses more power than Bitcoin.
Not
Okay.
mine. I use LEDs.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
they say Bitcoin mining uses more power than the entire country of Belgium, and it's like, yes, the Christmas lights in America use more power than Belgium,
Yeah.
just for running your
believe it.
Christmas lights.
Yeah. My
Okay,
neighbor
so-
alone does that.
Right. And there's 300 million people in America, and a lot of people do Christmas lights. And during that period, it uses more power than the country of Belgium. Number two is that Bitcoin is mostly renewable energy because your profitability as a person who mines Bitcoin is based entirely on the power of your, what your energy cost is.
Right.
So what are you going to do? You're going to find wasted energy, right? All these places who are producing too much energy, and then you bring your mining operation there. So all this energy that would be wasted, you are now using.
Laws of
They're
entropy.
using, solar and wind power in
Ooh.
Texas, things like that.
Sure.
So those are the
Ooh.
big ones.
I just thought of something.
Here we go.
Okay. You know how there's usually a lot of that black budgeting that's going on within the defense departments?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what if they were to do that same thing with like their own form of crypto with that as well?
Well,
So
they're
that way
already,
nobody can track theirs.
well, they're buying Bitcoin, and the reason that they're not going to use a lot of these cryptos that are currently out there that are vying to be the new world order coin, they're not going to use them because why would they give up
Tracking.
control?
Right.
Yeah, they want something that they build that does exactly what they want to do. And there's no reason, like Rothschild is not going to let XRP, for instance, be the new world order token. It's just not going to
Absolutely.
happen. It's going to be a Rockefeller
Right.
coin, if anything, right?
Yep.
It's not going to be some couple of guys who came up with XRP. It's just not realistic. They're going to have their own thing, and it's going to be called a central bank
Jesuit
digital
coin.
central bank digital currency, which is the same thing, right? And
Right.
all it is going to be crappy fiat that they can print as many as they want and just do the same thing that they're doing now, except track every individual transaction. And every time that you give your kids their allowance, the tax man takes the money right out. As soon as you
Yep.
bump the phones to theirs, the tax man takes the money.
Yep.
You buy something at a garage sale, the tax man takes the money. You weren't a good boy on social media, the tax man, comes in there and turns your wallet off and
Social
says that
credits.
you're gonna get a couple $100 less Rockefeller coins because you said something bad on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right. That's where we're going.
The smart
And
cities.
if you don't want to live in that system, you better figure out where you're going to keep your money and how you're going to keep your wealth. And also, in preparation for that, knowing that is where it's coming, and the Bible kind of talks about that too, guys. So
Oh, you think?
knowing that this stuff is coming, look at like deals and look at capturing wealth and the things that you need or know that you want. Look out for deals and things that you think are going to increase in value, and learn some skills and stuff, man. Learn
Yes,
about
absolutely.
cryptocurrency. Learn about crypto. Even if you don't buy any, you have to learn about cryptocurrency. Have to, because the world is going there. You need to know. You don't want to be like, nobody knows what the dollar is all about, right?
Right.
You don't want to be in that to where there's such a tangled web to figure out how the dollar is worth anything after, 50 years of nonsense after Tricky Dick.
Right.
Yeah.
After Richard Nixon went off the thing and the banks no longer have to have any reserve or anything
Right.
like that. Everything is just off the rails. It's all
You
fraud,
got it.
100% fraud.
You better
All of the
believe-
Yep.
monetary system is fraud. So, is you figure out some crypto and figure out how that stuff works. And, yeah. So as far as regulations and things like that, that's their job. Everyone has to feel validated by making some dystopian law. Who can make the most dystopian law? That's how they get their kudos brownie points from the New World Order.
Yep.
Yeah.
You better know it, man. Cat and mouse.
So yeah. Anyways, if you want the lowest, the best entry points and stuff, and with the lowest amount of risk for losing stuff, is not a bad time to be in Bitcoin. It could go down a little bit more, but as opposed to waiting for 2 months from now when Bitcoin's probably $60,000, you're probably
I
a little
panic
bit.
bought this morning, like I told you.
Yeah, I bought some too.
There you go.
Time to splurge.
Well,
Yeah.
sort of yes and no. If you have money to spend, we call it dollar cost averaging. And if there's the things you want to buy, say you have $500, you do like, okay, well, I'm going to buy some. So you put $50 in. And then you want to look at the market in an hour or something like that and see where it's at. And if you want to put more in, and then look at it the next day, and then look at it the next day after that, because, price could come down.
Sure.
And if it starts sharply rising or something, then you make your decision from there. But you don't want to drop your $500 all at once, because then if the market goes down by another 5% or something, and it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. I mean, Bitcoin at some point is going to be worth $1 million, whether or not that takes 5 years or 10 years.
Sure.
It doesn't matter, because as people think of digital money, they think of, well, what stops somebody from typing on ones and zeros on a computer and just making more? And it's like, no, that's Federal Reserve. That's
Right.
that's
the other system.
Yeah, that's the stuff you have in your pocket.
Right.
Yeah, that's another blockchain.
Bitcoin is, it's a scam chain. Hey, nothing to that. Bitcoin is, you have 21 million coins that can be mined permanently forever. And that is constantly deflating because people die and they don't give their keys to anybody.
Yep.
So that Bitcoin can never be touched. Satoshi, the creator of Bitcoin, has 1 million coins that can never be touched. And so at this point, they've calculated at least 4 million, if not 6 million of the total supply is irrecoverable, can never be.
Wow.
So it's gone. So that
Interesting.
means that there's only right now 12
much
million
room.
coins that people can own.
Right.
And I think the amount that gets mined is less and less every 4 years. And so it's a limited resource. And, all the New World Order guys are into it. Mysteriously, they're all
That's
buying
gotta
it
tell
up
you
like
something.
crazy.
Right.
All buying it up like crazy. And of course the CIA, they want to dump stuff and be mad at El Salvador, the IMF.
That's the duality.
Obviously they had some Bitcoin too.
You know it.
Yeah.
Please.
Let's just print themselves a couple billion
Yeah, these people are not morons.
Federal Reserve dollars.
Right.
Yeah, that made me think that whenever whenever Trump was on there and he was saying that whole thing of like, oh, this Bitcoin thing, I probably wouldn't do that. Yeah, you got money in it. We know.
Please.
We know.
You find out that a lot of the people that are down on Bitcoin, that the latest ones was the Shark Tank people. There's a couple of them that were like, oh, it's a scam, like a couple of months ago. And then you talk to them now and they're like, oh, Bitcoin's the greatest thing ever. I've actually been invested for 8 years. I was one of the early adopters, right?
Misdirection.
Yeah. Because obviously if you want the price cheap and you're somebody who's millions of people follow and you're a television personality, you don't want to actually say that you're in it.
No,
Not if you're going to buy more, because the price is going to go up.
That's
and
the
you can't-
psychology part.
Now you can't. Now the only way I can fault them is you shouldn't have said that you weren't involved. You shouldn't have said that Bitcoin was bad a couple of months ago. I just wouldn't say anything, but I kind of be like, I got a couple of million I got to buy yet, and then we'll talk all about it.
Yeah, like I'm the silent partner here.
You better believe it.
Yeah, that's
Even though I'm Max's handler, he's the silent partner.
That's right. So that's what's going on in the economy, cryptocurrency news, and everything else. And I think we're kind of, I don't know. What do you guys got to talk about that's new and exciting in the world?
Freedom seeds.
Freedom seeds.
Oh
Man,
yeah,
I
those
got a
freedom
case.
seeds.
We got a case of 0.357 SIG.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with this algorithm, but it was one of those freakish things. Now this is federal. This is hollow point stuff. It's the good stuff.
Yeah.
Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Oh, of course, especially like with the silver primers. I know.
Okay. Yeah, you know what's up. I hear you, man. Okay, 1,000 of them.
Not
You
bad.
know what that okay, here's the prices. generally. $1,700, $1,500 at best. Right?
Really?
Okay, yeah, for the good stuff. I'm just saying for 1,000 rounds, it's ridiculous now.
Okay, because
380. I double checked. I have an app on the phone. You know, it's Ammo Seek. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's fantastic algorithm search engine, pretty much for ammo. And I had to check it. Okay, direct link, went, double checked that, put it in the cart. I was like, okay, let me try this. Something's wrong. And if it's wrong, it's going to tell me. It's going to correct it, right? Oh, no.
Right.
No, I got it for that. So I'm like, okay. Sweet.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, there's a bunch of different places you can get it from. You ever heard of sgammo.com?
Yep. Use it.
Yep. I was actually recommended that by there was like an AR manufacturer over here not too long ago. I think back in 2016, whenever he told me about sgammo.com. And originally they the guy who was the manufacturer here started up over in San Diego, California.
Oh, sweet, man.
So what is the place where you guys are getting your ammo deals now?
I get mine mainly from like either sgammo.com, which is run out of Stillwater, Oklahoma.
SG1.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to throw that in.
There's another
So what
one.
What can you tell me about chickens then?
Well, that's
No? Do they have an SG chicken? SG chicken?
an SG chicken.
Well, that's all you need is bullets and chickens, right?
All right, listen. On a serious note, I work
maybe
with a
some
guy.
time.
He raises them, right, Max? If you
Yeah.
ever need any, let me know. He has over 300.
Well, what are they gonna fly all the way from where you're at?
No, but people mail order them all the time. That's not a problem.
How would you mail order a
know
chicken like that?
Hold on for a minute. That's just
Why you mail order
oh my
mail order a
goodness.
chicken?
People do that all the time. That's actually a huge industry. Yes. I'd never heard
What
of
did
it.
they give him, like a little sack, like a little hobo sack, and put
Hold
him on
on.
give him some bus fare? Is that how they do this?
Ah!
Huh? Get a little chicken.
Man.
Yeah. Or it's like, okay, you're going for a bus ride today.
Next stop, Glencoe.
No kidding. They crate them up. They've got a little bit of food, a little bit of water. It's delicately handled. It costs a little bit, sure, but he can hook you up. If you're ever interested in it, let me know because I can get them cheap. I'm not kidding, dude. I am not kidding. That's his life. He makes good money doing
man.
it. It's hilarious. A hobo package for you.
Hobo bag.
So I hear you got some chickens for sale.
Oh, he's hardcore in it, man.
Oh, my mom really wants to get some chickens.
I want to get chickens too. I just can't afford them. Oh, yeah. I think I mentioned this last time, but lumber has gone way down to below where it was before cooties. So anyone who's putting out projects, now's the time to go. And maybe I will get that fence up. You know, who knows?
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go,
and if
man.
a certain somebody becomes like, a millionaire off of Shiba Inu, then
There you go.
probably just like,
Dogecoin.
buy up a bunch of
Absolutely.
land, and of course, just actually start up a farm somewhere.
Yeah. And for anybody who's not in the know, in the crypto sphere, this last quarter, because of what's known as the Bitcoin halving, this last quarter, October, November, December, people are looking for Bitcoin to hit around $100,000. And whether or not you believe in that or not, I'm just
Yeah, I've been
saying
hearing that too. Yep.
all of the crypto people are all saying that it's a bull market.
70-something thousand by the end of the year.
I'm saying 80K, but there
Okay.
are ARK Invest and MicroStrategy and all these big investment people are like 200K.
Insane.
And so just letting you know that there's a tremendous upside according to a lot of people out there.
Sure.
And that's why we're bringing up crypto a little bit. And, you never know. I mean, cryptocurrency is not like the stock market. You can buy
Right.
a Dogecoin and then you will wake up a millionaire, and not putting
That's
out hopes and
crazy.
dreams and stuff to people. But there are a lot of 20-year-old kids out there who took their
Sure.
stimmy check, bought Dogecoin at a nickel, and Dogecoin went up to 70 cents in a couple of weeks. And
Man,
so,
what a yield.
yeah. And now Dogecoin is a meme coin, and it's
Insane.
not an investment really. It's a speculative thing.
right.
So I don't recommend investing in Dogecoin. I'm just saying that
I'm
those
still gonna
kind
buy
of
some.
things, I am too. I got
Out
bought.
here.
Yeah. I'm preferable to SHIB, but okay.
There you go.
That's it, man.
So those kind of gains are possible because big crypto market has cycles where if you have to be in the cycle, and there's like 10 days where 90% of all the cryptocurrency gains are made, and everybody is saying this quarter, so that's why we're putting it out there. So
Here's
that's what,
what-
just think how many chickens you can buy and how many guns, right? You could buy the whole site at SG Ammo.
Yeah, yeah, definitely buy that. I mean, interestingly enough, also in Oklahoma, you ever heard of a certain type of gold and silver place called APMEX?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've actually gotten a lot of silver directly through them, and usually they're pretty good, and they deal in crypto too.
Do they
Oh,
now?
wow. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
you can buy gold and silver or platinum or any of their other type of precious metals with crypto.
Let me write that down.
So you could take your privacy coin like Monero and
There
go
you
get
go.
yourself some gold.
Because look,
Just saying.
Yeah, if
I
they'll
buy
take it.
silver. Yeah.
So
okay.
as I was saying with cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin being, you can kind of track where transactions go and all of those things with Bitcoin, but there are a lot of coins out there that you can't. And that's
Right.
their entire reason for existing.
You got it.
And so you can do things completely private, just like you could with cash.
It's for
Nobody
those
knows where that stuff
criminals.
came from. Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah,
there is also this thing out there called the dark web that of course I know nothing about.
Me either.
yeah, no,
Never heard of it.
yeah. We don't talk about that around here.
No, we do not. Or the Stargate program. It's off limits.
There you go. It's a little,
Yeah, we don't talk about Project Bluebeam either.
that's going to be a fun one.
Mhm.
Isn't it though?
I almost thought it was going to happen in June because after they said that they were going to release stuff about like these documents about quote unquote aliens or something like that, and I'm just like, yeah, okay.
I went through every bit of it because I was that guy, Eli, all my life. I even convinced people. You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
Lord changed
Oh.
my mind on that. Forest for the trees and all that research, man. It's very interesting because, like Fox Mulder said, I want to believe.
Oh
So
yeah, I know.
preconceived notions, and it's at one point it was like, wait a minute, Jimmy, what are you doing?
Yeah, my dad pretty much. I mean, he still watches that stuff, and I'm just like, Dad, you don't have to do that. It's like, one, you're already saved. Two, why are you interested in the whole thing about the aliens, really?
Well, if it's a hobby, it's perspective. I don't really study none of that anymore. It's new stories that come up, sure, to a point. But
Yeah.
as far as certain channels that just
Mhm.
promote that, I know what that is. We get that. I came to that truth years ago, and it's like, okay, it's a true phenomenon, but is it what the world's stating it to be? No, it's not. Obviously, from a Christian perspective, I see it clear as day. I don't have all
Right.
the answers. It's very deep. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But it is fallen angels. It is offspring. It is all that. Giants in the land and before and also after that. Me and Max has done a 3-hour video just on that.
I think
Yeah.
I might have watched that. Just curious, have you heard of a guy by the name of Harrison Katz?
Yep.
Okay, did you ever watch his stuff on like saying that it wasn't really a dome, that it's actually more like a cube?
Yes. Well, that's the back to the cube occultic symbolism. I don't know. I really don't. I have my own perspectives on that, but I just don't see that. I really don't.
I think he said it was more shaped like that of like how the tabernacle was shaped.
Yeah, he did. I've actually heard other people speak on that. Where's the proof? You know what I'm saying? I'm all about that. I have to go by scriptures,
Right.
and it's not vague from what I see. It's like the parables. Is it cryptic? Yeah, to those who are not born again, I get that. The Holy Scriptures are for those who are born again to actually get anything from it.
Yep.
That I
Amen.
do get. We all get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, do I believe there's a firmament? Yes. The birds
Yeah.
flying it? Yes. Is there a separation from the waters? Obviously.
Yes.
I see all that now. So it's like Max told me, 2 years ago, dude, look at this. I'm like, are you nuts? He said,
So-
man, look, Jimmy, you've taken every red pill that most people has never even heard of, but you're not going to look at this. What happened to your investigative mindset and your clarity of thought, and you take pride in being that guy of saying, I don't know all the answers. Drop
just
your pride and look into it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, it's a psyop to make Christians look like buffoons. Like there's not enough of that anyway. And that's what most people, will propose. And I was that guy. But you know, it was like, it's hard to explain, but it's similar for all of us. I finally said, well, he's right. Drop the preconceived notions, because I always taken pride in doing that in research. It's like, go in and try to debunk something. Have an open mind, look at both sides and weigh it, weigh the evidence. That's what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's being intellectually honest. So that's me. And I'm like, okay, it's like Mandela effect, this, that, and the other, and whatever. You just insert whatever you want. I've studied it. But the occult was my main thing forever. But seeing all the past history, what they wrote, how brilliant they were, what they've learned from either fallen angels, which I'll, you know, throw that in there. And I believe that's primarily most of it. And even the people that live for generations. What could you learn from your great, 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 great grandfather or grandparents? That's a lot of wisdom and knowledge passed down. Period. Okay. And I'm going to say this, and I've made it perfectly clear to anybody. Once you see it, that veil, so to speak, is rent. And it's like, the only red pill for me or anybody else is to be born again. That's it. Anything outside of that is secondary, it's speculative, and there's a lot of truth in between that, and that's fine. It's not a salvific issue, period. That's what I'll stand on. So that's where my pride does not come in, like the King James onlyism thing. No, I'm a Bible believer. All right, that Bible for over 400 years was the Holy Bible. That's it. I know that to be the word of God preserved in the English for us today. I know that. I spent 2 years on that. But as far as the shape of the world, that blew my mind. And I want to tell you, I'll just be perfectly honest with you, man. I'd reached the stage of my life to where if aliens landed, I'd just be, I'm just burnt out. It's like, you can't tell me anything that's going to surprise me at this point in my life. Nothing.
Yeah, because I mean, even after I'd watched that video from Harrison Katz, and then it kind of, you know, challenged my thinking a little bit. And I mean, he did mention scripture within the video, and even mentioned it's just like, even with geometry and everything, looking at that of like sides, it's like, how do you have sides with a globe? How do you have that with a dome? How do you have that?
No, it's interesting. I put a lot of thought into that. I see it as more or less a snow globe motif, more or less, for me.
Well, that's what that's the Jewish depiction of this stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what Stephen King thinks anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We spoke about that earlier.
Yeah. Funny thing is that my dad actually read all those books. I mean, he read a lot of stuff from like Stephen King back in the day.
Sure.
And to an extent, I think his brother has like a subscription or something like to some of the guy's books or whatever. And but whenever I just saw like the whole under the dome thing, and I started to think, well, with a bunch of those words like domestic, domicile, domesticated.
Yeah. Words mean something, and everything in this world is scripture. That numerology, this, that, and the other. People can get deep into that. I'm not talking about astrology, but there's links there because that's God's language, and that's Old Testament, and it's clear to me in that. Not that I study geometry or nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have, but it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. That's Ecclesiastes. There's nothing new under the sun.
Bingo. Period. That's me and Max talk about this a lot. It's like they call them the originals or the old ones. You know, let's say Illuminati, Bloodline, Committee 300, whatever.
All right.
All of these royals, right? That's a very interesting word. The blue bloods. It's, man, where do you start? We get the gist of it. That's what they put their belief. It's Kabbalism. It's this, that, and the other. It's from the Druidity. You know, it's old occultism, but we know it's Satanism.
Yeah, exactly.
Period. We get that.
Like, you're gonna take all that power and you're gonna follow the guy that loses.
Yeah, and that's
where they've been tricked. That's where most of them, you know.
That was the comedian, one of my favorite comedians actually just died not too long ago.
Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald, yeah.
Yep.
And he was a Christian, but I saw a little clip of him where he said, well, all the religions out there, there's only one that isn't true, and that's Satanism, because who goes for the guy is gonna lose. And it's like,
exactly.
You go.
Yeah.
There you go.
He's a smart guy.
What's funny is that whenever I was at work, and one of the guys who said he was a Christian, and of course, unfortunately, with one of his sons was, I guess, like that of like, either atheistic or something. But the girl who he was hanging out with and everything was a was a Satanist, and I'm just thinking, why would you worship who's created?
Well, the thing is that the Satanist acknowledges that the true God and Jesus exist,
Yeah,
but then they're
It's just
choosing to
their own
follow
religion.
Satan. So it's
Right.
like, well, why do you follow the guy that you know is going to lose because you believe the Bible and all that stuff too? It's like I don't get it.
yeah. It's like,
Well, I mean,
why
God
don't
said-
you just have everlasting joy?
I mean, you go to the
Well,
bookies,
people-
you go to the
people have been
bookies and
so-
bet on that guy, and it's like 0. Your odds are 0.
Yeah,
I'm
went
gonna
from
put all my Bitcoin down on Satan.
it
looks like
comes-
603 scoring 6 to 0.
right. That's a good way to put it. No doubt. That's pretty good. But again, the minds of men have been blinded, even though the the laws of God has been written in every man's heart. It comes down to volition, it's free will. That's just like this MOB, this mark of the beast speak. A man does not have the ability to trick you to go to hell.
Mhm.
Period. It'd be too simple. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
People that I've known for years know stuff about scripture far more than I do in a lot of aspects, are falling for this crap. I can't get away from it. I'm going to put up my own video in the next week or two. I got to get prepared. I'm not as, well polished as Max. I don't have the wherewithal for that. I have to study and kind of have paper in front of me, and that's fine. But it's like, this has got to be done. It's going to be open book, and it's going to be question and answers, because
That's
everybody
good.
I know around me pretty much is like, this is it. I'm like, well, it appears to be that way. Sure. If you're not studied up.
Right?
Yeah.
Remember, Revelations is not in chronological order, people.
Mm-hmm.
You take anything to prayer. But look, it's all about fear and confusion. Where does that come from? We know.
Yeah, it doesn't come
Oh,
from God. 1 Corinthians 14:33.
Amen, Eli. So it's men and their wicked schemes. That's what it boils down to. Satan has a job to do, and the time is drawing near.
Mhm.
So his buffoonery is ramping up, obviously.
Yeah.
And we can see the wheat and the tares at this point to a point. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, who's the NPCs? Who's awake?
Yep.
It's real clear to me. It's scary, weird. But it's like, okay, people, chapter and verse. Let's go that way, which we all primarily know. You just can't do that Brian Dinglinger thing. There's a lot more to scripture than just chapter and verse. 2 or 3 witnesses. Context, people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get the book out and let's go. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
What does God say about it? Too many things have to take place. I'll argue that. That's, to me, it's clear in scripture. Oh, you don't have to see him. He doesn't necessarily have to be on the stage, but the system's in place. So therefore, man at that point has put in a position to fool you because, oh, guess what? Satan fooled you because you didn't see him. We're not looking forward to seeing Satan.
No.
Period.
Well, that's the thing of like, we must be
Man.
getting raptured now because we're in Revelation right now or something.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do too, but
I'm so
I
ready.
think
It's not
we
even
had talked
funny.
about this and we put this
Man.
stuff off at like 20
That was a
years.
clown show.
Unless things really, really speed up. We were looking at like 20 years for the
Sure. And he said he
things
would
to-
speed the days up.
Well,
Yeah,
he'd speed it up. He'd speed it up after we're already gone. But
Right.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's the key.
but like the whole
division.
thing where you're going to have one world come together. I mean, that takes time to do.
Sure it does.
Even the
Right.
world wars, because you have
Right.
to have the world wars in order for Satan to come on the scene.
Thank
and
you. You got to have a
you
great
gotta
falling
have-
away before you can have a one.
you got to
world
have your
religion, too.
temple in Jerusalem, and you got to have all these things, and you
Right.
got to have, you have to have New World Order coin of some sort out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have to have these things, and it's
Sure.
like, yeah, you got your jabs and your cooties, and you got your other stuff, but that's all just kind of a run up.
Yeah.
or
and
I
we
don't
see
think
the
we're-
birth
Right.
pains. We're seeing some of that. At what point? What
I
bowl
think-
number are we on right now?
I think that's just an excuse for people to not do anything. They're like, oh, well, Lord's coming any day. So
yeah. Because I went through that. We
Yeah.
talked
Yeah,
about that. I
same
did.
here.
I went through a period. Right. Right. I think a lot of us are similar with that. It's like, what difference does it make?
Yeah, for
Right.
me it was especially like when I got involved with the Denlinger cult, and then of course it almost made me feel like, oh well, I guess I just need to keep staring at the sky all the time, and it's like, well then what's the point of me being here to preach the gospel and being alive in the first place?
Amen.
It's like
Brother, I
why
struggle with that. Yep.
yeah,
me too.
like why did I waste my time?
Yep. Look, he messed us all up, but the Lord led us away from that. I've been in 2 cults in my
Yep.
life. I've already
Amen.
spoke about it because I didn't have the Word of God in front of me. I had itching
Mhm.
ears, and it sounded great.
Yeah.
That's like the last podcast we did. That was my
Yeah.
reference to Kool-Aid. That was a Jim Jones reference. I didn't make that clear. I think
Oh,
y'all got it.
yeah, I knew about it. The
Sure.
Pentecostal preacher who, of course, was basically a Jesuit coadjutor that led people to French Guiana, and then basically everybody committing suicide off the cyanide and the Kool-Aid.
Man,
Yeah.
Eli, when did you start studying this stuff, man? You're young, dude. You're impressed. Very
Okay,
impressive.
so whenever I first started to study this, it was probably about my junior year of high school.
That's crazy.
I started to question a lot of this stuff, especially like because my dad first started to really question this stuff, not only about the Kennedy assassination, but also with 9/11. And
Bingo.
So just kept on going. It kept on going. And
Rabbit
it was
holes
like
are
around,
plenty.
yeah, it was around about 2012 whenever I had like 2 guys who were Christians that they were actually witnessing to me at one point. And but at that time I didn't get saved because it's like, I just felt like, I was overcome like with all this guilt and
Yep.
just felt like it's like, why would he accept me and all the rest of this,
Sure.
all the things I've thought, all the things I've done and everything like that. But it wasn't until I was about 24 years old that it's like, and even coming to 24 before that, I had already, seen the stuff like with the New World Order and, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them.
Sure.
Yeah. Even the stuff like, hearing the stuff from Jones and all the rest of those guys there.
Oh yeah.
Whenever
Down
I
that
found out
road.
I found out about it. And then whenever I got saved, and then I started to see all the stuff of like, with the Vatican and all the rest of them, how they were, it's like they're the real ones, like, controlling most of the New World Order, and Satan is the one who controls them.
Bingo. Amen. Similar stories to a lot of people, stepping stones. I don't put God in a box. That's like a lot of people make fun of me now, especially since I've come out about flat earth or whatever the shape it is, but I know it's not what man teaches.
Right.
And I'm like, look, man, that's fine. That's on you. I
Well,
understand
don't you-
the saying.
Don't
Go
you
ahead.
fly around? Don't you fly around in your air curve?
No, man. I travel through the Stargate. But it's
I'll be back in just a minute here.
yeah, go ahead, man. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, what
yeah.
people's perception of reality is, because that's the world conforms that for people.
Yeah. Ironically, the thing is that what got me interested in it was, in truth, was history. And
Me too. Me
yeah,
too.
because I love history. And my
Amen.
junior year of high school, ironically, my high school history teacher was a pastor.
Okay.
Yeah, and even
cool,
when he
man.
was, and he was even talking about a lot of the different cults and stuff like that, because we were going through about like through the 70s and the 80s, all the different cults that sprung up, the Marshall Applewhite thing with
Oh
the
yeah.
Earth is about to be recycled, the Jim
Yep.
Jones stuff, David Koresh and the Branch Davidians.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he taught us a lot of different stuff, and people always, gave him crap just because he was, they
Different.
thought, oh, well, he's trying to force his beliefs on me, and it's just like
Yep. Every
now,
time.
now I realize that it's like, no, he was just trying to tell you the
Planting seeds.
truth.
Right. People hate the truth. You know that.
Well, yeah, it's like men love darkness rather than light because their deeds are
Amen.
evil.
You got it. You got it. Continually. Because they asked the Lord, hey, didn't you come back for peace? He says, nay, for division.
Yeah,
And whenever I bring that up, people get angry. That's
Yeah,
not
that-
in the Bible. I've never heard that. That's wrong. It was all about love, 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 love. I'm like, wait a minute. Here,
I'm like
here's
Matthew
the
chapter 10.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sure simple.
that's another thing. When you get a bunch of them saying it's just like, oh, well, God does, like don't judge me. It's like only God can judge and all this stuff. It's like,
Nope.
okay,
Talking
Matthew
about
chapter.
hypocritical. Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about hypocritical judgment. Unless if
got
you
it.
read John chapter 7, verse 24, which says, judge not according to appearance, but judge righteous judgment. And also 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 14 through 15. For the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, neither can he know them, for they are foolishness unto him. But he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man.
That's the one I use all the time. Amen. Because look, you judge your friends, your food, what you wear,
Of
where
course
go,
you
what
do.
eat, all that. Sure. So we're all hypocrites.
Yeah,
That's
it's
something
like,
else I get to. You Christians are hypocrites. Well, welcome to the human race.
yeah, look at how corrupt everybody is. I mean, how do you think that people just instantly change whenever they see a big wad of cash?
Hey, thank you. Thank you. I was actually, I can't go into detail, but somebody big at work tried to bribe me recently. A lot of money.
What?
Oh, yeah. That's the second time in 4 years. I recorded the whole thing, so there's a lot going on. Maybe losing my job soon, but whatever. I
Well,
trust in the Lord. It is what it is, man. It's time for me to move on anyway. So.
yeah, and yeah, definitely try to cover your rear end whenever it comes to that stuff. Because
Oh, I'm that guy.
I mean,
Trust
oh,
me, I'm that
oh,
guy.
yeah, because I'll tell you what, if they try to force you out of your job or something and you got dirt on them that way, it's just like, hey, look, bud, you try and do that with me, trying to get me fired just because I won't take your experimental serum right here. Yeah, it ain't gonna work.
Eli,
Yes.
amen. I'm a chess player, and I've been around the block. I'm 52 years old, and I've got a leg up on them, and they know it. But
Oh, good.
my spirit's grieving me on that. So it's like, okay, is it time for a change? Sure. So I trust in the Lord.
Amen. There you
And so
go.
mother, I think I mentioned that earlier. She said, well, maybe you need to take that experimental vaccine, just to keep your job. And she's older, man. She's in
Oh,
bad
Mom.
shape. And I said, look, I'm going to trust in the Lord. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
He'll provide. I'm okay. I'm a survivalist anyway. So it's like, life's uncomfortable. We're going to suffer here. But do I worry? No, not really. I'm
No.
concerned about things. Sure, I'm human. But at the end of the day, my trust goes to the Lord.
Yeah, even my mother told me that it's like, well, hey, it's like, well, because neither of my parents are going to get it, so they're just like,
Amen.
they're like, hey, if I'm going to die, then I die.
Exactly. It's like, look, I'm not going back to the doctor. I put my foot down a month ago. I said, nope, I'm done. And I need to go back. I've got issues, but I take it to prayer. I'm
Yeah.
eating well. I take vitamins. I do the colloidal silver. I'm doing
Mhm.
whatever I need to do.
You ever heard of functional medicine doctors?
Yes. Yep. I have a lot
Yeah.
of it set up in my favorites, read a lot of the books, watch a lot of the videos. So I get it, man. I get it. There's certain lifestyle changes that I obviously need to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Cigarettes
I know.
being one of them. That's my main thing. But other than that, it's like, I'm not going to be part of that system at this point because I'm not
Right.
putting a mask on for anyone at this point. Now, I did it last year for surgery.
Yeah.
I kind of regret it. I don't beat myself up over it. You got to pick and choose your battles. Some people see that being ridiculous. Well, it's a ritualistic shame muzzle, and I'm
It
just
is.
that guy. I'm that guy, man.
Yeah.
It's like principle time. Stand on what you know.
Yep. And my dad was actually the one who took the first step whenever this whole stuff was happening like that. And I mean, even whenever I had to take him to the hospital at one point, and it was on Christmas of all places, or of all times, just because he thought he was having a heart attack.
Oh,
And
man.
and then whenever we found out, though, it was just a mild form of angina. It wasn't serious. Okay. And so whenever he was in there, and it's like, oh, why do I need to wear this thing on my face if they already jammed the thing up my nose. So it's like, why do I need to wear this on my face?
It's our policy.
And it was a Catholic hospital of all places.
Yeah.
So Jack, we were talking about Kevin Sorbo earlier.
Yeah, man.
He's one of my favorite actors. He is from Minnesota.
Yeah, I know it. I can't stand him, but I do.
He's a terrible actor. But I like his movies. He's just terrible, but he's all right.
Well,
so anyways, we were talking, Jack's new to the tweet scene, and I am too. We don't know what we're doing, but he told me about Kevin Sorbo, and I go, let's listen to the wise words of Kevin Sorbo as we're talking about the masks and stuff.
Man,
he says,
was laying it down today. It was funny.
Says, raise your hand if you're more concerned about losing your constitutional rights than you are about cooties. And then he's got another one. The question, what would you do in Germany 1939 has been answered. I'm severely disappointed. So and he's got one here. They won't let you eat in a restaurant in San Francisco if you're unjabbed, but you can poop on the sidewalk out front. I'm not saying to do it, but you could do it if you wanted to. Right?
Yeah. That
All right.
that reminded me of like a Babylon Bee thing similar to that whenever it was saying the San Francisco mayor has said that the homeless need to go poop at home.
Yeah. He's got another one that says,
no.
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yeah.
Take
So
your heels.
anyone out there who does the Twitter thing, yeah, Kevin Sorbo's a riot. He's a riot. And who doesn't love Hercules?
Oh yeah, I
anyway,
remember watching that.
Anything about Kevin Sorbo, he's a Christian and he does Pure Flicks. For anyone who's been watching me for a long time, we had Pure Flicks and I did reviews in a lot of different Christian movies out there, and he's kind of heavily involved in that. So that's where he's coming from.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
I remember watching Revelation Road. That one was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Revelation Road.
Yeah, I liked it.
There's a few of them that are really, really good on Pure Flicks, and then there's a lot that are basically Lifetime movies. And I don't know.
Yeah, not
I
that
wish-
Christian movies are going to have a high budget or be very popular. That's
Yeah.
not the point. I get it, but it's some of it's just like, man.
Yeah, it ain't like the one that Stephen Baldwin was in called The Mark Unleashed. That one was actually very good.
Yeah, it was.
And what was interesting is that the guys who were working for the Antichrist, it's like they were dressed up to look exactly like the Jesuit order
You got it.
with the black robes and everything.
Yes, sir. Hollywood has to put it out there. Most of the normies don't get it.
And what I find interesting is the guy who had played one of the guys, one of the girl that was working for the Antichrist system, that was her ex-husband or something like that. And it's the same guy who plays Negan on The Walking Dead. And it's like, wow, you're in one world of zombies and then you're in another world of zombies.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, it's a commentary on our times.
Yeah. My dad's like already watching, I think, like the 4th season of that thing. And I'm just like,
The Walking Dead.
yeah.
I couldn't.
Oh,
finish it.
I thought if you don't take it seriously, I thought it was actually kind of fun.
Yeah. First
Because
5
I watched-
seasons I loved, but other than that, it just got old for me real quick.
Yeah, I watched the first season. I was just rolling. I thought it was hilarious, and it got even more campy and more over the top. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially like whenever
that
the one kid had like gotten infected with pneumonia and then he died and came back as a walker. And
well, that's
and
how
then-
that goes,
yeah. And what was interesting is you saw that here's what happens when society breaks down. It's like, here's how at least people who want to have a decent civilization, it's like how they would react in a society, kind of like a Fallout world.
Right.
Sure.
Well,
Absolutely.
they always assume that everybody is bad in all of those shows. You never notice that in any kind of dystopian future, anytime. It's like, if the government doesn't exist, you all are just gonna be living in fear and everybody is your enemy. And it's like, do you really think that would happen if there's no
Bunch of
government?
niggas running around.
No, it's actually no. It's the government kills more people than anybody else.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
I think if there was no government, people would actually have their stuff figured out. And
Sure.
if you had a
Yeah.
bad,
Regulate.
if you had a bad apple in there, people are gonna go grab
school.
their,
Yep.
grab their shotgun and their pitchfork, and and they get
Yeah.
a rope and they take care of it.
You're right.
Well, like you were saying a while back about everything being by that of contracts. And it's like if
Mhm.
people just signed private contracts and said that,
Oh, yeah.
okay, like here's where I won't cross the line with your property. You won't cross the line with my property. And of course, we can do commerce like regular people.
Be nice, wouldn't it? Like common law. But oh no, they have to call the authorities and get somebody, killed.
Yeah. And then you get a bunch of those guys that are like on like either court cam and saying that they're like sovereign citizens and all that, and saying it's
Yeah.
like when they ask like what's your first name? He's like, I don't have a first name. I have a name.
It's free man.
Yeah,
Surname.
yeah, and
Christian.
the
Because
the
there's no such
contract-
thing as a sovereign citizen. That was all just smoke and mirrors too, just to make freedom lovers
Yeah.
look like clowns. Because that's the
Yeah.
oxymoron. You can't be both.
right.
Yeah, that's true.
It is that whole thing is, yeah. You don't want to try any of that stuff, because even if it's technically correct, people don't care. These guys are thugs. You think they're going to play by
Right.
rules? Nobody
No, of
plays
course
by
not.
rules.
Well, here's the
Oh.
thing. You know, look, Max, I give you a lot of credit for a lot of things, but this is true. Me with some police background, a lot of security, been well trained. It's that God and country, just like our parents, you know, and on and on and on. That was my boomer like tendencies there. And I had to break through that dichotomy in my mind of saying, because I made the statement, you can't throw out, you know, the baby with the bathwater. And Max
Yeah.
called me out on it on live stream.
Wow.
And I was, you know, he caught me and I just, that little voice said, man, he's right. What are you doing? You're trying to defend this corrupt system. Because yes, there is good people, but people are people. It's a corrupt system.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what's going on today. People don't speak out, and that's being complicit.
Right.
But people, I get it. People have families. They have careers. They've got investment in this. It's their money. It's their livelihood. Okay. At what point do you stop being a coward? And I'll use that word because I'm at that point. Right is right. Wrong is wrong.
Yeah. Amen.
That's it. That's it, man.
Yeah, and I'd be the same way about it. It's just like they say, "Oh, well, I have a family and I have a job and everything like that." And how long is that going to be there for you?
Well, there's that, and everybody does. Do you think you're special because you have that?
Right. I mean, everybody's got a family, or everybody
find
knows
another
somebody
job.
close to them.
Right. Right.
Everybody's
Especially if
got
you're
the
born
bills
again.
to pay.
Right. That's it.
The thing
man.
is,
That's
it's
the
like
system.
what's sad about it is that people are being controlled by something that's literally worthless. You know, figment of an imagination.
Absolutely.
It doesn't. Fiat money
Corporate fiction.
does not even pretend to be money. Okay, it doesn't.
No.
By
you're right.
definition, a dollar bill is debt. So the more of them that you
Absolutely.
have, the more debt that you are. You know, that's the more debt. That's the more representation of debt. That's all it is.
Well, Max, for me, about 15, 20 years ago, roughly, it was all right. There was this one video. A friend of mine showed it to me, and I'm like, whoa, another mind blowing episode. It was pretty much in a committee setting. It was the IRS, of course. And, you know, it was a major case. There's several through history about people that are tax exempt. You know, they sign out of the system. You know, Kent Hovind used to go on about that. And there's a wealth of information there, and it's true. So I started really digging into that, and I'm like, wow. Because when they were cornered, it's so funny. It's like, well, what is monies? They couldn't answer that.
Yeah, there's a guy that actually does a tax class thing on that.
Yep. Yes, sir. I forgot his name. I know who
Eric
brought
John
this in.
Phelps.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Yeah, he actually has like a radio show as well, and I mean, he's even been saying, you know, the stuff about, you know, the cooties and the serum and all the rest of that crap. And he's just saying that it's just like, well, if you take my tax class and everything, he goes, I'll say if you work in the private sector, he goes, you do not owe the income tax. However, if you work for the state, federal, or city government, it's like you do owe the income tax, and I cannot help you with that. And he just like does these different tax classes, I guess.
Yeah, I remember actually coming across some of his work years ago. I know he's a bit of a Calvinist. He's got some
he
pretty
is
wild ideals, but you know, I get it.
The whole basis on that thing is that I'm not saying anyone to go out and not pay their taxes, just do whatever you think is right. But if you look at it, it's essentially you're making a trade of your time for a certain amount of something. It could be Federal Reserve notes, could be Bitcoin, could be whatever. But at no point are you making an income. You're not making a profit. You are straight up one-for-one trading. Right.
And that's what it's all about. It's between you and the individual you're doing the work for.
You're gonna give me $100,000 a year to be a doctor for a certain part of time. That is an even trade. You're not making any profit on that.
Right.
You know,
because your number goes to the crown.
Right. Now, obviously, you'd be labeled a tax protester and all this stuff, but the thing is that's the truth. And your taxes, the income taxes, really don't. Are you making a profit? No, you're not. If you're making a profit on something, you need to owe taxes, and that's what there is there for the businesses.
Sure. The
middlemen that buy low, sell high, and that's you owe a tax on that. You know.
Yep.
Now, when you're talking about something that does not touch Federal Reserve notes, then there is nothing. There is no tax obligation. Of course, they'll say that there is a tax obligation. Of course, they'll say this and that. And of course, you'll hear that, for instance, if you're invested into some investment somewhere that is not Federal Reserve anywhere, and that investment goes up as compared to Federal Reserves, but it is not actually Federal Reserve. And you never touch Federal Reserve, there is no taxes to be paid on something like that.
Exactly. United States of America Incorporated, all caps.
Right.
Corporate
So
pension.
just so you know, and if you do want to be in Federal Reserve, there's lots of ways to not pay taxes legally, and that's just how it is. But whatever way you want to go, and I never
Sure.
had
That's
enough
not
money
a
to.
dragon for me to slay. Right.
Right. I've never had enough money to have to worry about it. And
Right.
that's just
Me
where
either.
I am with that. But, for instance, if I did run a business that had like $500,000 revenue or whatever, I personally wouldn't pay any taxes. I'd be just like Bezos or anybody else.
Sure.
My business would pay.
Absolutely.
My business would pay all of the taxes. And if there was a tax obligation for me to pay, I would find a charity to donate money to
got
rather than give it to the government, or I would find a new corporate truck to buy, or I would find something. And that's just how the system is set up.
Sure.
And
Trillions and trillions of dollars to run the United States of America, but our infrastructure's falling to pieces. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wake up.
And- And now they want to push some $3.5 trillion bill that not only goes after the stuff of like the crypto miners, but also tries to make it with all the new electric vehicles that you have to like blow into a breathalyzer just to even drive the thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Carbon tax has evolved all around it. And what the big audible is now and has been for years is the Gaia aspect, Mother Earth.
Oh yeah, the
You
UN
know,
thing.
You got it. So they're cracking down hard on that. And I think it's very occultic, but it is what it is. And it's like, okay, I read that today. It's like, okay, here's the the minutes from the White House, basically. It's like, well, the pandemic's one thing. Okay, we know it's failing, huh? Interesting. But it's like the carbon tax. That's our main focus. I'm like, well, sure.
Well, you're not going to have a choice when you have CBDCs,
Right.
central bank. When you have the New World Order blockchain,
Exactly.
you're not going to have a choice. Carbon tax will be a part of everything.
Yeah.
Tax the very air you breathe. Oh, you're leaving a carbon footprint.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
'cause we're the disease,
Yeah, and we got to
Well,
use
yeah.
all that to fuel Al Gore's jet.
Yeah.
What a pompous punk.
Oh yeah, the fact that his family got rich off of coal.
Yeah.
Isn't it just nice, man? What a bunch of hypocrites. It's just sad.
It's just it's sad the small amount of people that are even aware of these things.
I totally agree with that. Because
Yeah.
everything's right there. All you have to do is a little digging. Just think for
Well,
yourself.
you know
God
what's
gave you a
great?
mind, man. Use it, people.
What's great is the meme culture has really picked it up in the youngest generation. Is that
Hasn't it, though?
they have all of that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. There's hope for the future.
It's like
There
thanks
is.
Reddit, thanks 4chan.
Oh, Reddit's great.
You better believe it. No doubt, man.
Reddit, depending on which ones you go into, but like there
Sure.
are some gems in Reddit
Yes,
where
sir.
people that really know what they're doing, and a lot of
Right.
insider stuff used to be on there. I don't know about now, but yeah, there's some. That's where
Yeah.
like if you're part of that system and you want to tell people, you can just have your little Reddit profile and you use your VPN and you go up there and tell everybody what's going on.
Yeah, and you could definitely make the case again to just be like, oh, well, they're about to sell this thing out right here. Let's do the same thing that GameStop did, and it's just like,
Yep.
hey, Reddit army to the moon.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Yes, sir. They don't have monopoly on being an inside trader. I mean, people can analyze and do their own thinking. So it's like, if you can benefit yourself, and that's the whole point about Max and this new channel, have provisions set up. God gave
Yeah.
you a mind. Be prepared the best you can. He'll take care of the rest of it.
Amen.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's
'cause,
also a hedge for when you make mistakes because everybody makes
doubt.
them.
You better.
And it's like, well, if this thing doesn't work out, then I have this crypto thing, and if that doesn't work out, then I know how to spin wood, and if that doesn't work out,
yeah,
I have my little hat that I wore last time. I can put that on the corner and play guitar, and then there we
There
go.
you go.
yeah, and it's
Ma-
like, hey, if I were to do one thing over here, and it's like, oh, well, this didn't work out, it's like, I guess I could learn gunsmithing.
Yeah, I mean that's
Hey,
me
man.
that's like me every week. It's like, well, that failed. Let's go do the next thing. Well, that failed, and it's just it's how it is. You never know unless you try,
That's right.
Yeah,
and you always take away something from even your failure. So.
You better believe it. That's the whole point, man. Learn from your
Yeah.
mistakes.
And
You
what's
never gotta
great
break
about Bitcoin is you don't have to do anything except buy it and sit there and profit.
it. Isn't it nice?
Wasn't that the The underwear gnomes. Remember that?
Oh
The
yeah,
underwear-
from South
step,
Park. Yeah.
Step 1, collect underwear. Step
Yeah.
2, I don't know.
That's
Step 3, profit.
I love it.
Oh yeah. And then it's
No,
like,
ser-
was that also Mr. Hanky in there as
Yep.
well?
Yeah.
that's funny, man. That's funny.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Eli, seriously, if you're ever interested in that, want to learn more, I can direct you somewhat. Or if you want to
Okay.
know about particular weapons that I know, I'll just, shoot me a line, phone number, whatever, man. If you really want to
Yeah.
know this stuff, I'll help you
Okay.
the best I can.
Yeah, because I mean, I did think at one point about possibly doing something like that, but I just never had the money.
You'd be surprised. It really doesn't take that much to get involved with it. It really depends on your purview, what you're looking at.
Yeah.
If it's a wide variety, you just start small. Start
Mhm.
with a handgun and go forward.
Yeah.
Learn it. Get on the message forums of these guys. They're the pros. Eliminate 99% of the rest of the, buffoonery and go straight to these message boards. So these guys are pros and they go out of their way to help you. They have the best advice on the planet, period.
Yeah.
It's fun and it's a good thing to know because if you're going to have weapons, by all means, learn them inside and out. Safety first and foremost, but know your weaponry, know how to field strip, know how to replace parts because they break.
Oh yeah, and make sure that you have enough tools in your toolkit.
Well, that's key. But you'd be surprised again. I've got maybe 15 tools that are just basic
Mhm.
that I can work on anything with.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Dad actually got me one of the presents there. It's like, oh, thanks, Dad, for this building kit.
Sweet,
Yeah.
man.
The only thing I don't have is one of those 3D printers.
I'm thinking about it. I've been on the fence for a while. It's just a money issue. The one I want's a couple of grand. So.
But don't let them catch you with one of those evil, scary ghost guns.
They can't catch me because how can they see them? What do they have? Ghostbuster detectors or what? Ghost guns. And that's what kills them. It's another play on words, just like what they do, because it's always been legal for anybody to make their own weaponry. Period.
Yeah, it's like them saying that, oh, well, if you just let them carry around a gun without a permit, then it's going to be Wild West pimp style.
Yeah.
Oh, it's insane.
Well, that's just the lack of logic and truth. That's always kind of been there, though.
Sure, of course.
Not nearly as bad as now. Oh man.
Well,
I get it. You got to wonder how bad it must be in the places like New Zealand and Australia. And stuff.
Right. But they gave up their weapons. So what?
Well, it's not just that. It's not just that. It's they're fine seemingly to be locked down, and like
no, I mean that's sure. I get that point. It's crazy.
I mean, there isn't anybody shooting anybody here in America with all this stuff going on.
No,
that's again when people look into it and really study the statistics, it obviously proves that they're lying about everything.
Oh yeah,
and to me, I'll even argue any gun law.
Same here.
It's null and void. Period.
Yeah,
you have the absolute right, and it shall not be infringed. Period. So don't put restrictions on me.
Yeah, something I was going to allude to is that since we're also talking about like with different trades and stuff like that, you notice that, of course, especially like, for those who are Bible believers and even like in the past, due to even like having the American Revolution, the Protestant Reformation, that is also the main reason why, of course, why not only that our minds are free and we realize we do have free will. And of course that that ultimately that we do our things for the glorification of the Lord, and of course we also do it to better those around us,
right?
And so I'm just thinking, you would not get this in like a totalitarian controlled society.
Sure,
there's no freedom of thought.
Well, that's the whole point. That's the construct that they've created. Again, it goes back to Satan, his rule of this kingdom. But let me address Hopi's comment down here. Sounds like you all worship money, not God, filthy lucre, whether it's paper or digital. Let me ask you a question, Hopi. Do you work? Have you ever bought anything that you wanted to buy? Don't be a hypocrite. That's not what we're talking about. Don't take things out of context, because obviously you don't know us in this channel. We put things in proper perspective. So that's an ad hominem, and it's a straw man. So go take a good hard look in the mirror for yourself. That's my suggestion to you. You know, God can give money. Money is a tool.
Yep.
Period. You're in the same system we are to where it's necessary. You know, unless you're out living in some commune somewhere, did you have to pay for that phone or the computer you're on to be able to communicate with us now? I mean, what are you saying?
Well, the thing
You know?
is yeah, it's just there's
Yeah.
always has to be a medium of exchange of some sort. And
Absolutely.
it's the whole the love of money sort of thing that's the problem. And
And it's
if
the
you're
love of money.
there,
It's
there are
not money.
people. There
Yeah.
are people that are like, well, look at Bill Gates. The guy's a billionaire. So what does he do in retirement? I know I'm going to enslave the world and pretend there's a cooties out there and try and jab all the kids. And it's like, well, why? The guy's making billions and billions of dollars, but why? Why would
Yeah. Or not to mention make a bunch of serums directly for like all the rest of the world, and now even India is going after
depopulate
him for all the polio
eugenics.
stuff.
Right. That's exactly right. And Hopi, another thing, real quick, I don't make a lot of money, and I give a lot of my money away. So don't tell me, don't accuse me of worshiping money. That's something that I do not do. That's the last thing on my list. I could care less,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest with you. So
no, we're all
just a little
poor.
food for thought, you know, before you make those kind of comments. That's your opinion. That's fine. But what's it based on? Again, you don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
So you're wrong about that comment. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, we don't worship money here. No, we're here just basically talking about like other ways of means to survive in this fallen world, and the best way that we know how to do it.
Amen, Eli. Bottom line. Bottom line.
Yeah. If I was a big money guy, I probably wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like,
Yeah,
hey, I think I made about, maybe, a couple $100 in 10 years. That's right. I was rich.
yeah. Oh, I did have a question about that. Whenever it comes to like just buying like the small amounts of Bitcoin right now, even before it hits like the 100 grand mark or even the million mark.
Yeah.
So with the buying power of that, let's say in 5 or 10 years from now, when of course most of it's already going to be digital by then.
Yep.
Would that basically be like, the equivalent of back in either 1800s, early 1900s, whenever you had like even just like a nickel was worth a lot? So
Yeah.
like less than like 0.503 would be like a lot.
Well, let's see. It's eventually going to be a Satoshi. I think when
Okay.
Bitcoin hits like $100,000, then you're going to be, instead of it seeing one Bitcoin being 100,000, you're going to be a certain amount of Satoshis, like a penny a Satoshi or something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
And that's probably what they're going to do before too long, because when you buy a fraction, when you buy $50 worth of Bitcoin, it's 0.0001 Bitcoin. So yeah, that doesn't make people feel good. And so although Bitcoin is divisible by up to 1/10 millionth is a Satoshi. So if you buy $50 worth, you're not
Yeah.
buying Bitcoin, you're buying such and such amount of Satoshis that equal up to
Gotcha.
a Bitcoin.
Right.
And
Alright.
that is how it is. And with regards to what it's going to be worth, when Bitcoin hits $1 million, it's all based, we can only gauge it to what the fiat money is worth.
Right.
And so the buying potential of that would probably be about half that, or like 10 years from now, the buying potential based on the current rate of inflation means the Bitcoin would probably be worth, $300,000 of buying power today. And there is a guy who does that right here that I'll bring
That's
up.
the man.
Invest Answers. This is the best guy, investor guy to listen to for investing, period, that I have found on the internet. And any profits he makes goes to charity as far as his YouTube stuff and all of that. And he tells you all about his investments. And he has done the study as how to retire on crypto, how to retire on Ethereum, how to retire on Bitcoin, a mixed portfolio. And he talks about where Bitcoin is going to be in 5 years based on his projections, and how much based on the inflation rate, what that would actually be in buying potential. Like right now, if you're worth $1 million, you're basically a boomer, right? Which is pretty middle of the road, middle class, upper middle class. Because
I
most
wish
baby
I was a
boomers,
boomer.
well, most baby boomers are worth $1 million when you take their
Right.
$350,000, $400,000 house,
Yeah.
their half a dozen boats, and their vacation property, and
And
maybe
Buicks.
their timeshare, and of course another half a dozen Buicks. And then you take those and you bundle them all up, you've got, at least $1 million in that asset pool. And so $1 million today isn't whether or not they own it all or it's all debt, who knows?
Right.
But
That's it.
in that asset pool, there is that much. So it's not a ton of money. And as we're losing buying power by 10 to 15% through inflation every single year, especially
Right.
with the money printer, he goes through all of the metrics and all of this stuff. And you could search directly for retire on Bitcoin or anything like that on here. And I'm a member of his Patreon even. And
Wow,
wow,
that's cool. The guy's
yeah,
sharp.
he only lets in 10,000 people to his Patreon. So I guess
Wow.
I lucked out, and nobody else can get in there. And
He's getting paid.
no, he's 10. He could have 50,000 people on his Patreon if he wanted
Yeah,
to.
that's
And
cool.
So
It's like, Max, you're the way in. Tell us all the secrets, what you have today.
well,
No, that's only
you know,
between
I-
Max and his handler.
yeah, I let out some of the secrets on my crypto channel, but has 30 years experience in trading
Wow.
stocks and the stocks, and he's been doing it since he was 16.
Sweet.
And he
Savant.
got into cryptocurrency after I did. Okay.
Oh,
But he
wow.
is applying his expertise to the cryptocurrency markets. And he has an entire team of researchers that goes out, and if he likes a stock, he has his researchers research it. And now he's doing cryptocurrency, because once he figured out what Bitcoin was, he tried to get his friends to all buy into Bitcoin. So he made a video and put it on YouTube. And then that's how we got his start, because none of his friends bought Bitcoin, but everybody else wanted to keep hearing him talk. So this is where he comes from. He's been doing this like 6 months or maybe a year now, but
Yeah.
he bought into Bitcoin after I did. So he's fairly new to the market, but he knows his stuff.
Thanks for hooking me up with him. He's very
Yeah.
dialed in, man. He's a smart cat.
Of all of the people to listen to as far as investing or anything on YouTube, this is the guy. This is him.
Okay.
And Dearth before that, that's the man.
Oh yeah, for
Dude.
flat earth stuff. I had
Man.
that channel up before, DITRH.
Man.
This is the guy.
Yeah,
And
thanks
he
for
does-
hooking me up, man. It was interesting. I binged watched that for 2 days, and it was like, what?
Yeah.
It was stupid. I was tripping, man. It answered everything plus
Yeah.
extraordinary questions that never ever entered my mind, and it was like, this is fascinating, very interesting.
Yep, Dave Weiss is the
You're
guy
in a
right
rabbit
here.
hole.
I don't know if it'll have. I guess it won't have his picture on. Oh, here we go. Dave Weiss right there.
Yeah, I've
He's
seen
the
him.
man. He does his channel is all about sort of, you'd call it flat earth evangelizing, I guess, where most
Yep.
of his videos on this channel are 2-minute, 3-minute shorts that just prove a point.
Right.
And you can't defeat any of his points. And they're
Nope.
just little 2-minute, 3-minute things. If someone doesn't have a half hour, an hour to go through all of the things for flat earth, it's like, well, here's 1 point. Here's 3 minutes, and try and beat the 1 point. And there you go.
Oh,
he
James
has-
Corbett knows flat Earth.
Yeah. And you've
Yeah,
got,
no doubt.
you've got he does the sun, moon, star, zodiac app or whatever that we have too, that basically
I have it.
shows how the sun and the moon and stars and all coalesce on a flat plane, and everything works perfectly. Your time zones work perfectly. Your seasons work perfectly. And yeah, the app is like $5. I don't even think it's that much, $3 or something.
Yeah, it's 3 something.
And in that app, it also has the video of the day that has the 3-minute videos that pop up. And yeah, is their best flat earth channel. And before that, Invest Answers is the best crypto investing channel. Now there are other crypto channels that just cover news that are really good, and some other things, and entertainment, crypto entertainment style stuff. But investing, you want to go with James and Invest Answers, definitely.
There you go. Okay. Good deal. Oh, by the way, Max, I mean, you discussed this too. I sent all this information here from Dearth to my
Mhm.
sister about 2 weeks ago, and man,
Yeah.
I told you it was just a simple, I'm not ready for that. And then like a
Right.
week later, it was like mind blown is what she sent me. And I was like, okay,
I mean, it takes time. Now look,
sure.
now and
Took me a long time.
I think I've been in basically a closet flat earther for at least 2 years, 2.5, maybe 3.
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's back since like I was on live streams with like Droopy Dog Guy.
Okay. 17, 16, 17, maybe.
I don't. It's like, yeah, probably. But anyways, I was like, I entertained it very seriously,
Sure,
but I wasn't
sure.
quite ready because I didn't know enough to even defend it. I don't like
Right.
stepping out and saying I believe in this unless I can defend it.
You got it.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
it's a process of absorbing more information and absorbing more information and trying to defeat the information, trying to beat the stuff that they're saying. And it's like,
Sure.
no, okay, this is all
value.
true.
Black Swan, R value. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's how it is with me. Whenever if I'm going to say that, that I'm going to defend something or say I believe it wholeheartedly, I'm not going to go out there half cocked and, of course, not know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you
Right.
look like a moron. People will tear you to shreds. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Been there
Here's-
before.
Oh, yeah,
this
me
one-
too, man. Me too.
This one right here is a pretty big eye opener in that people in the not too 100 years ago, people were taught in schools, public government education, the earth is flat. And this lady was taught that. She's
Fact.
102. So maybe the 1920s, late 1920s.
My grandparents were great grandparents.
Yeah. The people that will say, well, people have believed in the globe since 2000 years ago or something. It's like, no, they haven't.
Lies.
No, the Jesuits put that forward, and
Yep,
Absolutely.
Copernicus.
yeah,
Yep. Bingo.
Yeah, that was the whole Copernican theory that went out there like in the 1400s and everything. And Martin Luther and John Calvin were like, no, it isn't.
No, right. Right. Yep. Which payroll was he on?
Oh,
Right.
yeah. And then whenever they said, oh, well, the thing about Galileo is that, he was trying to, prove this and that. And it's like, he was one of them too,
Right. Yep,
well, and it all
controlled
comes down
opposition.
to who has money to spread the propaganda, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
And when
Absolutely.
when the government doesn't have a monopoly on money and a monopoly on media, because Bitcoin doesn't do this, but blockchain, you can host videos on blockchain that's
Mhm.
decentralized that you cannot get rid of. You can do a lot of things that cannot be gotten rid of that the government has no control over. So it's like, what are you it's going to be a very interesting future. And
Better
we're going to
believe it.
have two different cultures, or what's going to happen where you got the people with the truth. And then there's the people that don't have the truth now just don't want it, I guess.
Just put the glasses on, man. Put the glasses
Oh,
on.
yeah. They live.
That's it, baby.
Yeah. Just being like, put on these glasses or start eating that trash can. He's like,
Yes, sir.
look. And then it's like, you know what? Your face looked like it fell in the cheese dip in 1957.
That's it, man. That's it, dude. I mean, you can lead a horse to water. We all know that. People
I
to
have
be
come here
receptive
to chew bubble gum.
and kick butt.
Yeah. And
All
I'm all out of bubble gum.
Oh man, I love at the right before he passed. I believe it was his Twitter account. I can't
Yeah.
remember where he posted it. I'm sure you know, but Roddy Piper put pretty much. He said "They Live" was a documentary, and I'm like,
Yeah. Even John Carpenter admitted that.
Well, Carpenter was an occultist.
Yeah.
Most of these guys are.
Yeah.
They put out this stuff.
Well, even when he was trying to say this, it was almost like low level type of thing where he was saying, oh, well, it was against the stuff of Reaganomics. I'm like, nah.
No, has nothing to do with it.
You cannot make a movie like that and say that it's just about an economic thing.
Me and Max talked about that earlier, like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Their brothers.
Every
Right.
generation gets their truth movie.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Wonder which one the Zoomers get, if they ever
Oh.
get one.
Gosh.
Was that the Walking Dead? Is that what they got?
You don't say. Yeah.
I don't know if
Probably.
they got The Walking Dead, but there's plenty of films out there like that. I mean,
I don't even think they watch that crap. They just stay on their phones most of the time. But a lot of them are awake because of the
Yeah.
internet.
mhm.
So I'll give props to that. Thank you, YouTube.
Yeah.
And,
Even
you
though
know,
you're censoring us, but oh well.
well, sure, and a lot of people even, I've heard this theory. The main reason why they come up with this pandemic, right, is because millions of people were waking up to the Matrix. And okay, I don't know. There might be some truth to that because we know about government indoctrination centers, and that's been part of the
Mhm.
plan for a long time. But when you've got millions of people because of technology finally caught up with their lives, like the P900 or 1000,
Yep.
the science is there,
I've
and that's
actually
true.
seen it.
Exactly.
Yeah. In fact, Brother Darren can actually testify of this as well because we actually saw it. And even seeing like directly where the North Star was, it looked like three interlocking circles, like a triangle. And even a lot of these things, they are not like what you would see in a telescope.
Nope. I've seen that firsthand too.
I wonder what I should probably tell my cousin who, like, got one of those type of telescopes, and thinking like, well, how do I explain this to him?
Well, it's luminaries. What scripture say about those being angels? That's kind of deep, but it's like, okay, it's a clock. That's what we live on. You can
Mhm.
see everything above us spin. It's rotation.
Yeah,
But
why do
we're
you think the
not.
Greeks had a sundial?
Thank you. Nothing works on a globe. Nothing.
Nope.
So it's interesting. It's
You know,
again, it's like, see,
you
the
know,
light bulb went off, and I started studying the scriptures about it, and give a lot of praise to Max on that one. It's like, wow, okay, because I'm a literalist anyway, and it's like, forest for the trees, perception,
Mm-hmm.
interesting, because all these advanced cultures, again, what, they were stupid?
No.
Obviously.
you're talking
No.
about sundials, and that's basically your clock on the wall.
You got it.
And did you know the kids today, they don't know how to read a clock like that anymore?
No, they don't. We work
Yeah.
with a guy. He's 23 years old, and he's like, digital only. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, look up there. It's on the wall. And I'm like, it's a quarter till. And he's like, a quarter till. I was like, man, what is this, 1970?
I'm
It's
like,
just
dude,
ridiculous. It's funny.
it's almost like I think that at least if you did have like a private school, or even like with some, Christian schools, or even homeschooling,
Yeah.
they should probably have something to where you learn some of what the old technologies are. So that
You got
way,
it.
not only you know how it was back then, but in case if the world ever did go to crap like that, which it will, then they would know how to adapt.
Absolutely. Logic, learn how to reason and think.
Yeah. And whenever somebody told me, like, stop being logical, I'm sorry, sir, that's all I know how to do.
Oh my God, I get that a lot, Eli. we're all twins, I guess, but it's amazing because my family can't stand it. They're like, dude, you should have been a lawyer. You should have been this. Now I'm like, no. It's not about that. Everybody's unique. We're all the same in that uniqueness, but it's like God gives you gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned years ago, man, it's not about that theory. I didn't come from a primate. I don't use 10% of my mind. I use 100.
Yeah. I mean,
You
that's how
limit
it was.
yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how it was before the fall.
Absolutely.
And whenever I was just, mentioning verses of scripture and stuff like that, even to my parents, and my mom's like, you're going to be a preacher.
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, I wouldn't know where to begin, like I said before.
Leave that up to the Lord. If that's your
Yeah.
calling, then it'll happen. You know what I'm saying? If you have a passion for that, you can be a teacher. You can be like Max with that.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
necessarily
I'm good
right.
at that.
Sure. And there's a fine line with that, and I'm all about it. Again,
Mhm.
you don't put God in a box. We don't have to go with the traditional narrative.
No,
What
not at all.
scripture say about it, right? So you plant a seed however you need to.
Mhm.
God will provide a way. Always does.
Oh yeah, and especially for people who are even in who were in the truther stuff earlier on, kind of like I was. I mean, it's like the saying goes: anyone who's searching for the truth is going to end up at Jesus.
Bingo.
Yeah.
I've seen it thousands of times on my just online. Let alone the people in my real life. It's online. It's man, atheist, agnostic, every background, denomination, creed, whatever. Come to the Lord just over flat earth or this, that, or the other. And I'm like, there you go,
Yeah.
people. You don't put God in a box. Because I've heard from a million people, you can't study that. God don't like that. Excuse me? Really?
McAfee didn't kill himself. No, he didn't. Just like Epstein didn't.
Well, he probably didn't even get got.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, maybe.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and you're right. You don't put God in a box because, it's like the the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. You're telling me that he can't get the attention of anybody to get him to get them to actually hear the gospel?
I know people limit God all the time, and I hear it every day, and it blows my mind. I'm like, well, you may be born again and just not studying. I get it because I've been through that too. And you're going to have itching ears and just come up with, well, I was taught this, or I believe this for this reason. Well, that's fine. But what does Scripture say about it?
And then you got to give them.
Look at on screen as to what people are taught that they believe, right? They believe.
Oh, it's absolute insanity.
Yeah.
This is our solar system, guys. This is what they say is happening. We're on this one right here, spinning around, rocketing through the galaxy.
And I'll say this: back in the 70s and 80s, when I was real young growing up, a lot of this stuff just didn't sit well with me. I didn't go too deep into it, obviously, but it's like, man, what? Just like the evolutionary thing.
Yeah.
I used to get into it with my teacher in 8th grade, and I'm just like, it's wrong. Doesn't make any sense. I could tear it apart then, and it's like, really? They just love that religion, and I get it, but it's sad. And I'm like, look, they flunked me for one semester because I refused to do a book report. Dad said, no, what you do is you do it, but you add your own paper to it and explain why you disagree with it.
Yeah. And that's and whenever you try to tell them the truth, and then of course it's almost like you get it, but they don't, and then you're just like, oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, poor heathen. You uneducated fool. Yeah, exactly. It's ad hominems, or they're gonna, make you feel like you're nothing, insignificant. I have the plaque on the wall. You don't. Sit down, shut up.
I'd be like, I could buy that off the internet for like $100.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. Appeal to authority. I get it. You got it, man. You got it.
I mean, that's why whenever you're talking talk about that of the Word of God, it's like you don't have to go to seminary, you don't have to go to a Bible college or any of that stuff at all.
Amen.
And anybody who says that you have to go to that in order to learn the Word of God, they're the ones professing to be wise, but they're fools.
Yep. I couldn't have said it better because I've heard that all my life. Jimmy, what do you know? Well, I studied God's Word. Yeah, but who taught you? What? Hello?
Yeah.
McFly. Hello.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't go to seminary. You didn't do this. Have you read this book? Wait, whoa, full stop, man.
Yeah, I heard the same thing from one of the.
It's funny that people do that, and then you ask them, "Well, what have you read?" And they're like, "Well, nothing."
Yeah, exactly. They don't read anymore. I mean, the one guy at work, whenever he was asking me, it's like, a lot of this stuff about Scripture. Did you go to school for it? Were you in church and learned it? I was like, nope. I just learned this. I just learned this because I had a thirst for God's Word, and of course,
Amen.
I wanted to be grounded in the Word. I wanted to have the right doctrine, and of course, just exactly how it's written. And as long as I don't stray away from it, then it's like not going to have any problems.
Yeah, but you're not collegiate. There's no peer review. You don't have those flags on the wall, so throw it all out, man. You can't know anything.
I'd be like, well, hey, I don't need to wear robes and everything to make people look like, make it seem like I'm godly.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yep.
Sorry if I was ignoring that for a bit, like with noticing the hypnotist right here.
What?
Yeah, the hypnotism right here.
Isn't it magical?
Oh yeah, it's magical.
That's the key word.
We live on that spinning rock right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Helios, coming from Greek mythology.
Absolutely.
Key word, myth.
Yep.
I don't think people realize that either, and it's really simple math. The Earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, so you'd think that would cause problems for flights that were moving north to south or something.
You'd always have constant turbulence.
It's funny how you ask about how does inertia work on all of that stuff, and they go gravity. Well, really,
that's it. Magic word.
Well, gravity would be one of the reasons why inertia would work. You'd think, but nope, it's gravity. And I go, oh, okay, well, you got this thing where we're locked into orbit with the sun because of gravity, and then the moon's locked into us because of gravity, and it's like, so does the moon ignore the sun's gravity?
Right.
Does the moon ignore the sun's gravity? How's that work?
Yeah.
Thermodynamics,
And we get out
yeah.
we get out into weightless space, and then the astronauts ignore the moon's gravity and the Earth's gravity and everything's because they're in like a void. It's just yeah, it's so stupid. It's so dumb.
It makes me think these guys are better than Hollywood actors.
Well, even them, if you look at the interviews of the guys who supposedly went, they tell you they didn't.
Yep.
They tell you they didn't.
They have to let it out.
They had the guy on. They have the guy on. He just died recently, but he was on Conan O'Brien, and Conan was talking about, "Oh, you guys are heroes. We saw you land on the moon and do this." And he goes, "You didn't see us land on the moon. You watched a bunch of models
Buzz
on
Aldrin.
television, and heard us talking on the radio. That's what you saw."
Yeah.
He
Watching a
tells you right there.
cartoon is simulation.
Yeah.
And he tells a little girl that the truth is that we didn't go to the moon, but
Yes.
someday we will. It's like, yeah.
Well, it's kind of like whenever one of those guys who was like from the Ruckman camp, that Andrew Sluter, whenever he was trying to talk about the stuff of geocentricity and then trying to say it's like, oh, well, all of these astronauts were Christians and all that. I'm like, dude, these guys are 33rd degree Freemasons. They're Luciferians. You didn't know that?
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
either
come
a
on,
cover-
man.
Yeah, a lot of them sell out because they don't want to look foolish and lose that money.
For people who don't
Yeah.
understand the basics of like flat Earth model, there are things that you witness all around you every day that cannot happen on a globe.
Absolutely.
This
Mhm.
picture right here is one of them.
Yep.
Water is always flat. That's why they use it to level. That's why all construction,
level.
all of everything uses a plumb line, because water at rest is always flat and level.
Mhm.
And you can't
Okay.
be a 33rd degree Freemason unless you know the
Right.
Earth is flat.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
And you have to believe in some sort of deity. But
Yep.
Um,
Period. They don't want morons in there.
So
Yeah.
what
Some
this
deity,
picture,
as long as it's not the God of the Bible.
what
Yep.
this picture is showing you right here is that you have a perfectly still, perfectly flat mirror image that is not distorted in any way, shape, or form. If there was any curvature anywhere in that, this picture could not look like this.
Sea level.
And
Yeah.
you see this stuff every single day.
Yeah,
All
my
you gotta do
senses
is
tell me we're not
open your
rotating.
eyes.
Right.
It's just open your eyes to it.
It's like you said before, Max. How did I not see this?
It is. Granted, I wasn't looking, but
Right.
kind
That's
of like
the key.
it's kind of like chemtrails. You don't notice them unless you're looking, and then you
Oh,
see it
yeah.
all over.
Yeah, I noticed that people see a lot of them over in Ohio, and I'm like, yeah, maybe it's other than that barium salt, I think, or barium sulfur that they're spraying in there.
Aluminum,
thinking,
barium,
nope.
sure.
Yeah, I'm like, no wonder the soil's depleted.
You got it. Terraforming.
So the other thing is too with how would the universe work and all of this stuff on a flat plane, and it's like a lot of people are confusing the phony made up science and trying to make it fit on a flat Earth model, and that doesn't work.
Right.
Everything is a lie, and you can see from an actual picture of the sun actually at
Local.
a couple like 120,000 feet is probably where this is. This is where balloons go up. You can see the sun is local, and you can see this really bright patch right there. That means the
it,
sun is not
hotspot.
that far away. It is not 66 million miles or whatever they say it is.
And you can triangulate actually the way the waveforms are coming out
Right.
to actually triangulate that.
Those are called corpuscular rays when
That's
they
it. I
shoot
can't ever
down.
pronounce it. That's
Right.
it.
Corpuscular rays prove the geometry that it's local.
You
But
got it.
also people can't figure out how would you have seasons, and how would you have this, and how would you have that? And it's like, well, you're thinking that the sun is this distant, far away object. No, they are very close. Don't know exactly how far away, but you can see here that this is a very tight beam that's over the clouds here in this particular location. It's very local. If the sun were 60 whatever million miles away, and the entire half of the globe would be lit up all the time.
In the firmament.
100% all the time. So yes,
Sure.
the sun is somewhere.
Yeah.
The sun may not even be there. That could just be like when you shine a flashlight through a
I've heard
globe,
that too.
through a snow globe or something.
Right.
It's
Lord
just
did say
the-
he set those two lights.
Right.
So
It's
the moon actually puts off its own light in the firmament. So I don't know.
the sun may not is probably not a physical object, right?
It may not be plasma or
And-
what. I don't know.
And same thing with the moon. We don't know what all that stuff is.
I know
but
I've seen through it. I see
we can-
stars through it.
we can certainly prove that the sun is local and the moon is local.
Absolutely.
And how about that thing where the moon? Oh, the moon rotates, but it rotates at the same as the Earth, so you never see the backside. That makes sense.
Geosynchronous, right?
And that's
no.
the way that's been for thousands of years. And it's like, no, that's not the way that's not the way anything in science works. And see, none of these things, the globe model, none of them hold up to science whatsoever.
Because electromagnetics, I know enough about that. There's no possible way for rethinking these things. To that model you just showed of spinning through the universe at 500,000 miles per hour, there's no way that can affect that, let alone gravity. To keep such a perfect balance, that's buffoonery.
Right.
That's magic, no doubt.
And no one thinks about it unless you actually show them the picture of what they say that that we're doing.
Yeah.
Because when I saw that, I thought that was just amazing. Apparently my internet doesn't want to work.
Wouldn't you have like constant hurricanes if it was like the way the hypnotism's going on right now?
We wouldn't have an atmosphere. We'd all be dead.
I put it in the cooties category, and that I don't want to think about it because it makes my head hurt to try and even make sense of the stuff that they're trying to project to me. Because at the very basic, you want to talk about like space, and obviously nobody. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. Nobody here anyway believes that we went to the moon. Even if you believe in space, the moon landing is a joke.
But
if you take what they say about space, you think that once you get to the certain magical altitude, that all gravity goes away and all atmosphere goes away, and it's a vacuum in space. What is keeping the atmosphere on the Earth?
What? Dark matter.
What is keeping the atmosphere on the Earth? It is so stupid. You cannot have a pressurized atmosphere next to a complete vacuum.
Thank you. And that was one of the things that woke me up.
And this is second law of thermodynamics.
That's right.
It's a law.
Yep.
For people out there who don't know, most of the things that you're told in school are theories.
Yep.
99% of them are utter BS. When you're talking about a law, such as the law that life begets life, you cannot create life from non-living material.
That's it.
Amen.
That is a law. Okay. Then you have a law of thermodynamics, which says everything tends to decay and tends to disorder. And then also in that is fluid dynamics is part of that says that everything wants to find an equilibrium. So if you have your can of Coke and you hit the tab, the gas inside wants to equalize with the outside. And they want to tell you that there's this magic invisible barrier by gravity that's holding an atmosphere on this one little ball that's rocketing around the sun at 66,000 miles per second or whatever they say. And the sky never changes, guys.
Never.
We're spinning and looping and shooting through the galaxy for thousands of years now. And we can go back to the most ancient stuff in Egypt and the sky looks the same.
Yep.
And they have pictures.
Pyramids. Yep. I studied that culture for a long time. That was a deep part of my process of waking up. And it's like, man, of course, at the time, I knew it was extraterrestrials, obviously. And I see that as totally something different, but I never saw it in that aspect as far as, wait a minute, which constellation? Precession? How did they do that many years ago? And we're rotating? What? So it was like, okay, it was another key thing for me to say, oh, this is BS.
Yeah, everybody knew the Earth was flat until about 75 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the Flintstones even told you that.
Right. Right.
And I should caveat that fact by we're talking about America and Western culture, because there are plenty, like in India, I don't think they believe in it. I think in India is flat Earth.
Yeah, because there was a lot of countries that they absolutely refuse any Jesuit stamp.
Like India, India has like their own little space thing, but I don't think anyone cares. India's a lot of those people are flat earthers. A lot of the people in Africa are flat earthers. And so it's like your Western countries believe this crap. But you go off into like what's considered third world countries and stuff. They're like, nah, you're stupid.
You're a lunatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, man. Interesting world.
Oh, something else about India. I heard that especially I'm going to watch my words here. Whenever India used a certain type of other therapy thing that has nothing to do with serum to basically eradicate cooties over in their area, they didn't have to have the gene therapy, and yet everybody there is fine.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Antibodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mainstream news comes out there and says that if you're taking the jab, you're 20 times more likely to get cooties. That's them just telling you, hey, we're trying to kill you.
Yep.
We're trying to kill you.
Exactly, man.
You gotta
Exactly.
line up. You gotta line up
Oh.
quick to get your booster shot.
Does people
Right.
need any more at this point? You're exactly
No.
right. It's like, ha 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 ha, we're trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let
and
me go get
especially when you,
tested.
yeah,
We'll
when you
give
have
you a
to.
free cheeseburger.
Oh yeah. Let's give you everything that's bad for you, and give you something that's even more bad for you, bad for your kids, and it's probably gonna mess with you 5 to 10 years down the road.
But here's the thing that I see. If it's going to wake anybody up and there's going to be some kind of revolution, so to speak, and I don't promote violence unless it's absolutely necessary, so don't take that out of context, people, please. They're going after the children. And I've seen this for a couple of years. It's like, I'm just waiting for it. 'Cause I'm seeing a lot of pushback. Of course, it's stifled and muted and all that, just like everything else with the free speech. But you start going after children, you're going to see an uprise. I guarantee
Oh
you
yeah.
that.
Especially even in my state, like first they started with the whole critical race theory, and then they
Yep.
tried to push the stuff of the LGBT stuff, particularly the
Oh.
story time nonsense.
Thank you.
And now they're trying to push, and then they push the face diapers, and then they're trying to almost like segregate the kids based on
got
like
it.
which ones had the serum, which ones
Yep.
didn't. And I'm just like, what? And I'm like, people, you need to pull your kids out of these schools.
Thank you.
They're not getting any better. Best thing you can do is like, if you already did the online learning stuff, find like, either a homeschool group or some other, Christian organization that does that,
Amen.
and actually do it that way. And especially if you have like a daycare thing, do
Right.
something like that too, instead of having to put them in these public schools, because I don't want to pay property taxes anymore for this crap.
Look, man, suicide from children is going up 300%. Obesity, heart disease, you name it, it's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad. So the Lord's angry. And when he comes back, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And that's a righteous anger thing. But you know
Oh,
what?
yeah.
My pet peeve is children. I don't care who you are. I'll come after you. If I see
Amen.
it or know it, I will get you. Period.
Oh, yeah.
I can't stand that, man. I can't
Yeah.
stand that. Just like where I work, people that bring in their children and just let them run free, and there's traffic and go. Oh no, I'll get in you.
Yeah.
That's my. I don't care about a watermelon or anything like that. That's secondary. But children, no, don't mess with kids, man. Not around me.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't ever do that.
You know what the Lord said about that?
Oh, yeah.
Millstones and all that.
Millstone.
So,
Yep.
hey, if there's a special place below hell or that's worse than hell for those people, I can't even fathom that. I can't even fathom hell.
I'm thinking that the Lake of Fire is probably like a certain degree like that. The same thing with a bunch of the Catholic priests and the popes and all the rest of them.
I agree. Look, again,
Probably
me
in the
studying
same level.
occult,
Are you saying purgatory is real?
no.
Oh, yeah. Like saying the moon's cheese.
But I thought it was.
No, it's a special place for the Catholics. They get to go to purgatory.
Oh, please. And if you
Oh,
pay
yeah.
a little extra money, we'll get Granny out of purgatory. Please.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with Eli. That's what I get from it. There's different chambers or sections, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, it's like each one of them has like their own degree in the Lake of Fire. It's like, your average criminals, like your mafia bosses or something like that, are probably in one level.
Line of duty, right. Low security.
Yeah, and of course the ones like at the farthest lowest level are like, basically child molesters,
Amen.
Catholic priests and popes, any
Right.
of these religious heads that were running all these cults. Yeah, it's because especially when they knew the truth and they rejected it.
Checked it. Right. He said there was a double pretty much indemnity or a threat to those people. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's double trouble. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like
It is
there's no jurisprudence there.
No, none. Absolutely. So I don't know. It's I'll stand on this. A lot of people say, well, he's done too bad. There's no redemption. And I was like, no, there's redemption for anybody. But once you're turned over to reprobate mind, that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
That's the separation, I think, there. But me and Max agree. This is me. The only unforgivable sin is blaspheming the Holy Spirit, is to die in the unbelief, the rejection of Christ, and that's what I
Right.
get out of it. That's
Right.
it.
It's like if somebody, just goes their whole life and, of course, never believe in the gospel, then it's like, then that is the blasphemy of the Holy Ghost. That's like because they rejected Christ, just like the
Right.
Jews in the first century had rejected
Amen.
Christ that didn't
Right.
get saved.
Right. That's it, man. That's it.
Oh, Frank's in the chat.
Frank, my second favorite Canuck. What's up, Frank?
Second favorite Canuck. Oh, yeah, and he's like over in Manitoba where it's like,
Frank, you need some freedom seeds, man.
yeah, he needs some freedom seeds, needs
They
some
have-
freedom tools, and
They don't allow you to have freedom seeds in Canada.
Allow, please.
yeah, unless if they like register them with the government or something.
And
That's it.
let the policemen keep them and locked up and safe, right?
Yeah. I think you're limited to a rifle, maybe a shotgun, but you're limited on rounds. It's been years since I've checked that out, but it's just dystopia. It's like, really? My totalitarianism, man. People just rise up, man. I get so sick of this crap. It's like, you're
I
either
know.
free or you're not, dude. It's like, come on.
Yeah, it's like, come on, guys, you're going to be a bunch of pansies, or you're going to actually get up and, say it's like, you know what, I'm tired of basically, paying the taxes to the crown all the time. And also, I want to basically have my own country. And I actually did see something on a guy's page saying that, like Alberta, if they were to become like the 51st state in the U.S., I'd be like, well, yeah, we'll get a lot more farmland.
You better believe it. No doubt.
Yeah,
No
and
doubt.
of course, a bunch of friends up there in Alberta will definitely get to experience the freedom seeds for the first time.
No doubt. Yep. And we could visit Old King's Table at any time we wanted.
Yeah. Well, if Manitoba became part of that, unless he moved to Alberta, and then if that was the case.
Frank, you just got to pull up your stakes, man. Come to the South. I'm telling you. Freedom.
I think Frank's a Mexican citizen or something, isn't he?
He's a Mexican citizen? He's got dual citizenship?
I don't know. I mean, he was
That's
Frank.
what?
Frank, you were born somewhere else, and you ended up in Canada.
He's born out of Russia, I think.
Well, I'm thinking if he's a Mexican citizen,
Yugoslavia.
if he's from Mexican citizen as well, I'm thinking maybe he could just go around to like, where Mexico's at and just come through the border that way. After
that's
all,
it.
it's open right now, isn't it?
Yeah, they give you a free credit card and everything else. Dental's paid. Come on.
Yeah, because Biden ain't going to do anything.
Oh, man. And that's another thing, this divide of the left and right. I have to deal with that every day, and I'm so sick of
Hey,
it.
I wasn't wrong. You
you-
guys are laughing at me. Frank says he was born in Mexico. See, I knew I
What?
wasn't wrong on
Whoa.
that.
Ah, okay.
Wait a minute. Let me read
My
that.
memory's not that bad.
You don't sound. That's
Yeah, you don't-
well,
you don't-
I'm gonna leave that alone. That's funny. I guess you acclimated to the culture, but
He turned in his sombrero. And,
Yeah,
you still eat at Taco Bell.
there you go.
Right. That's
I-
cool,
I-
man. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had Mexican food today. It was actually pretty good.
I love it. Love it. Seafood's my favorite, but Mexican.
Frank
good.
would love it in Glencoe, just like home.
Glencoe?
Oh,
We gotta-
really?
We got a
We got a
job
Burger
for you
King?
down here, up there at the whatever that place is called.
What is it?
Oh, it's the packing place for
Oh.
all of the it's packing place for corn and stuff. And they're one of the companies that had like the breakout for the cooties like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, man.
And
yeah.
and it's the company that brings up people from Mexico, and effectively they can stay here as long as they want, as long as they work at the place. And that's like that's the deal. I forget what it is, but they house like
Burger
150 of them, and
Wow.
they
Yeah,
kind
they
of just stay and no problems with them. They just
They
you
give
know,
them like visas and everything?
I don't know. I think that's part of the deal. I know they get paid room, board, and everything. Seneca. It's Seneca. That's what
Oh.
that
And
is.
beans.
Sounds
What's
like a
up,
sweet
baby?
deal.
So-
Yeah. It's all right. We got a large population, so Frank, you'd be right at home down here.
I'm actually thinking about moving up your way, Max.
There you go.
As y'all are
You
trying
gotta-
to move out.
You gotta figure out that winter.
I couldn't do it. I'd be dead the first winter. There's no way.
Yeah.
Because look, I used to be that guy when it was in the 20s and 30s. Everybody around me was like, "You're mad. You done lost your mind." I'd wear shorts and short sleeves, sometimes a jacket. I'm very
Yeah.
hot natured, but now that I'm 52 and got $30,000 worth of metal in my neck, it's a little
Yeah.
different now.
No, I'm
Can't
not
do
happy
it.
with it, and I have a completely organic neck, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I missed
Yeah.
that.
If anything, try bugging out in the Ozarks.
Yeah,
Dude. Actually, me and Max are talking about what was
yeah.
it? Caymans? Possibly?
Well, yeah. Well, now I'm looking. You know, if Mexico is going Bitcoin, then it's like just
It's
it's so much easier, man. It's like
Isn't
you
it?
just rent a couple of U-Hauls and then you're done. There ain't no
Meet up.
flights involved. Isn't any garbage. If
Right.
anything, though, moving out of Minnesota, it's going to be some place that has to be, attached to waterway to like flee
Right.
if need be.
Go to
You know, it's like-
Mobile. That's where I'm going to head in about
What-
3 years.
I mean, you got to think all the people on the coast have boats. It's like, what's
Sure.
America going to do? You crack down. It's like, I'm 2 miles offshore. I'm in
Hey,
my
my best
own
friend-
country.
That's what my best friend does. He lives on a boat. He
Yeah.
rents them out. He's like, look, it hits the fan. You know where to come. I'm like, you got it.
Yeah.
I mean, even like Cuba is doing
You're
Bitcoin.
feeling me, aren't you?
Yeah, nobody
Eli's
cares.
all about it.
Nobody cares about
Well,
Cuba, but
yeah.
they're going to do Bitcoin. And
You know it. Sure.
obviously, from Florida, you want to live someplace
45
nicer.
minutes away.
You
Right.
take your Bitcoin to Cuba,
Sure.
and you
45 minutes away in a cigarette boat.
there you go.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if if it was either Missouri, Texas, Florida, any of the states in the lower 48, if they all basically declared their own independence and it's like, hey, and we got Bitcoin here too, everybody.
We'll see.
It's like-
I mean, that's a talking point. That's things I've heard about secession and things. But a lot of people, if you really analyze it, it's like, is it feasible? No. Could it be done? Sure. But
Yeah.
would the system allow it? That's the thing. It's so set up now, to the point to where it's like Max has talked about it. And it's like, it would take something major. And if what's going on around us now has led to those talking points again about secessionary movements of the states, I'm all for it because we're at a 2-tier system now.
Yep.
In the good sense is just shaking everything up so everything doesn't go forward.
Right.
Yeah. Look what happened.
Amen.
That's what's
Amen.
great about Congress is like everyone's trying to rob everybody else blind and trying to defraud everybody else.
Right.
And all of these laws get stuck and then they have to move on to the next con job. And it's like, oh, we didn't finish our last con job. Oh man. Oh, we got to go this. Okay. Now we're going to launch some rockets to Mars and Pluto. Who's in? All right.
Yeah.
And everyone got to write on their little rider con job. And because of that, nothing really gets done. And that's great. So yeah, we throw some turmoil in there with some secessions and, all those things. And it's going to be, that's really what you
Interesting.
want. You
Yeah,
just
you
want to,
do.
that's the whole thing about not wearing a mask and not participating in that whole thing and putting up little tiny fights, because every little
Right.
tiny fight, it's just like throwing a piece of sand in a gears of a clock, right?
got
Just a
it.
little piece
Yep.
of sand. It doesn't stop the clock, but it slows it down ever so slightly. And you get a few more pieces of sand in that clock, man. And she's
Amen.
chugging pretty slow. And then you put a whole pail of sand on it, then you're done.
Well, look
And
at
you're
that. What that one guy did over in Alberta. That set a precedent. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. All you have to do is just mainly say it's like, okay, prove to me that it was actually there,
Yeah.
that you
And then they
actually
get the crown
separated
involved.
it.
Right. You get
Oh.
the crown involved. And it's like, oh, okay. The
Frank-
game's afoot.
Frank says he's going to rejoin his Mennonite brethren in Mexico. And,
Yeah, he could do
and
that. I
he's also
guess.
saying that he
Wait a
knows people
minute.
that are in his town and selling everything and going back to Mexico. So do you live in a Mexican neighborhood, Frank?
That's
Are you
fun.
with your people there in Canada?
Like little Tijuana, got little
The-
Mexico.
The albino Spaniard people? Huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's interesting that people are selling their stuff and rolling to Mexico. You're kind of skipping over America. Boy, I wonder why.
Don't
The
blame him.
Canadians we're just like, nah, we're not going to go for partial upgrade. We're just going to go for total freedom.
That's it, man. That's it.
Pedal to the metal, boys.
You could be the lead guy. Come on, King's Table. You can do it, Frank. Be that one guy. Stand up. Start the movement.
Well, he's going to be alone. Everyone else has fled to Mexico.
Yeah, I'm thinking
He's
he
just
could be
gonna
the
be the-
first one.
He's just going to be the crazy gringo. Huh?
Come on,
That's
Frank,
right.
make your people proud.
I love it. Yeah, pee on a fiesta. That'd be funny. Frank, you're welcome here anytime, man. You'd love the South. But seriously, if you need an extra boat and a way out, let me know.
You got plenty of boats to sink and
No, but I've got connections,
boating
man.
accident.
I can
Plenty
get
of
pe- I
boats plenty of boats to sink in accidents.
You got like a naval battleship there or something?
Well, not quite that, but let's just say I've got a few connections. If things get really tough, then I can get certain people somewhere if they need to.
That's always good.
Yes, it is. Most
And it's
certainly
not even considered a quote unquote smuggling ring.
is. Only if the government's behind it.
Oh, are they?
What a sideshow we live in. I swear, dude.
Just a big old clown show.
It is. Honk honk.
That's what you got to say every time that whenever somebody says something on YouTube that would normally get them kicked off for, it's just like, oh yeah, it's like the election was fair. Honk honk.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Oh, you're all right. Click.
Yeah, and I just be like, ladies and gentlemen, I don't fall for the whole left-right paradigm. It's like at the end of the day, it's pretty much us versus them.
Yep, you got it. Which slave master are you going to have put in chains for you? You know, like the hill, you know, because there's no difference. They're all sellouts.
Yeah.
May your chains fit you ever so lightly, you know.
Oh no, man. We're in open air prison down here. Open air.
That's
Oh,
even
yeah.
better.
Yeah. Well, it looks here right on the screen that, of course, like with her, that it's like her chains. It's like you can't really see them. They digitally removed them.
You got it.
Hmm.
That's crazy.
There's
It's
a
all
lot
right
of
there in front.
That's the thing with the, people that are like, what about the space station and what about this? And I go, what do you mean that thing that's been up there for 35 years and never broken down?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, work asked me about that the other day.
And it looks exactly the same in all of the pictures. Like people have been in there cleaning, you don't have 35 years of people's sweat and stank.
Yeah, it's too clean. Look at the wire setup. We've talked about that with my electronic background too. It's like there's no way they're going to build apparatuses like that, just waiting on an accident for any simple move that you make. That's that critical. Really,
I noticed she was using water there, and I've already done the calculations on the amount of water they would need, and that's pretty hilarious. But yeah, all of these things are done with basic CGI, and anyone who doesn't think that they can do that, you just watch the movie Gravity, right?
Thank you.
And the movie Gravity does it way better than actual NASA does.
Yes, it does. No doubt.
And Elon Musk does it almost a little better than NASA, but not really. His stuff is pretty pathetic too. And this right here is done on an airplane, a zero-G airplane. And then when they don't do that, they do hairspray.
Yep.
To make it look like they're,
It's that Hollywood magic.
Yes, sir.
And yeah.
Hollywood.
And of course, people are going to say, well, you don't know because you've never been in space before. And it's like, well, neither has anybody else.
Right.
Yeah, neither is the person who said it.
No, but anybody else. There isn't, nobody's done any.
Yeah.
They've all admitted it.
Yeah.
I mean, NASA, it's like, okay, this generation's done passed or they're old, but this new generation, well, we're still trying to figure out how to leave low Earth orbit. I'm like, what?
Right.
I'd go back to the moon in a nanosecond.
When
I mean,
they
the same
say-
thing.
When they say like Jeff Bezos, he says he went to space. You got to understand that what they consider space is anything over 68,000 feet or something.
Right. Barely.
They have different, they have definite, well, 68,000 feet is nothing. The Concorde goes that high.
Right.
But
and
that's where the Air Force considers to be whatever low Earth space, whatever that zone is. And anything over like 110,000 feet is most definitely space they consider. But if you go up in a balloon ride to 110,000 feet, you're not in space.
No, you're not.
You know, you pop that balloon, you're going to fall right back down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No parachute. Oh no. Better hope you land in water.
Well, that Red Bull guy, he went up to, I forget what, 150,000 feet or something like that when he did his jump.
Yeah.
And he landed right where he took off. And how does that work when you're spinning 1,000 miles an hour?
It doesn't. That's not possible.
Went straight up in a balloon on a non-windy day, and he landed just like a mile or two from where he took off.
No, wait a minute though, Max. Doesn't the atmosphere magically go with a rotation?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever, it's dark matter, dark
Which is a
matter,
good show,
gravity.
by the way.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I'm a sci-fi nerd. Even though
Yeah.
you ruined it for me with Flat Earth, it's not the same.
Oh, I like the
anymore.
sci-fi stuff.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
it.
I mean-
Battlestar Galactica. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the
Star
original.
Wars. Yeah.
Nope, don't mention that. Nope. We
No,
won't
Why?
talk about
That's
Star-
a sore.
Why?
That's a sore subject.
Because it's dead to me.
We've only got so many
Okay,
hours in the
okay,
night.
okay.
We don't want to get into Star Wars.
All right. Just
No, you're cool, man. The
All
old
right.
Star Wars, I'll keep it in my memory. That's it.
yes. I do not want to talk about the new ones. Do not even get me started.
No, because that's not Star Wars.
No,
That's Disney
no.
Star Wars. They set
Yeah.
out to ruin everything that we love and hold true.
Uh,
And that was
yeah.
done on purpose because they lost
Oh.
billions doing it. Are you kidding?
Yeah, you know what they're trying to remake now? If you've ever
Oh,
seen The
please.
Lost Boys, they're trying to remake that.
Oh, yay. The Lost Girls, I'm sure. Women power. It's going to
Exact-
be great.
Yeah, that's what they look like. A bunch of the guys, they don't even look like guys. I kid you not. They look too effeminate. I mean, it's like if you're gonna, I mean, at least with Kiefer Sutherland and the rest of them, at least they look like guys.
Thank
that-
you.
These ones, they look like they got them from some modeling agency, made them look like dolled up little girls or something.
Well, that's Baphomet.
Ugh.
That's Luciferian. That's what's going on. That's a deeper part of the behind the scenes stuff. But it's like when you see the statues, you know what I'm talking about, Eli. That's duality. It's half male, half female.
Oh yeah, and of course, like doing the thing with the fingers, like where like it really means spiritual and temporal power, like that.
Yeah, as above, so below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was probably around like 2017. That's actually what kind of, eventually what did lead me to the Lord is, of course, realizing that how far, like, a bunch of these, pedophile cabals and everything are all lined up, even with that of Hollywood and the Vatican and all the other places. And that's actually what made me realize, to a point to where I was like, yeah, there's a God.
Amen, Eli. Because look, for me, again, I was already born again. I came to Christ as a child.
Right.
But later on, after certain events happened in my life, and I drew closer to the Lord and His Word, amen.
Mhm.
And it's like, man, because we've had this live stream before. That's one subject I know a great deal about. And I nearly took my own life because of that too. And I suffered from depression because of it. But it's like, it's a heavy burden.
Mhm.
But people just generally say, okay, it's good and bad. No. I mean, there's evil to the degree that I can't even put into words. And most of us get that. And it's like what they do, adrenochrome children, whatever. It's so dark. It'd put anybody in a rubber room. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah. And all I can say about that is that none of those guys are getting away with anything.
Oh,
And
no.
of course, and you know what? At the Great White Throne Judgment, they're going to be shaken as worse than what they've ever felt in their whole life.
You better believe it. You better believe it, man. I long for the day. I really do.
Yep.
It's like, look, we, as kids, you talk what if or stupid. What if you're a superhero, you had powers. My buddy, he's a geek too. I work with. He's cool. He's older than me, and it's like, hey, Jimmy, this was like a week or two ago. Yeah, man. He's like, hey, I know you're a sci-fi guy and you're into that. You read comics. And if you could be a superhero, and I'm like, man, don't go down that road. I said it wouldn't be pretty. I said that's why God don't allow stuff like that.
Yeah.
I said because I can't stop this stuff. Even if I could, it wouldn't be allowed. I don't think necessarily, but it's like things have to take place. I said, but the what if? Yeah, let me be Superman for a while.
Yeah.
It's not going to be pretty.
For
But
me,
what do you do? What do you do? You know what I'm saying? It's just one of
You
those
be-
deep things. It's like I wouldn't want to be that person.
yeah, for me, it'd be between like either Captain America or Wolverine.
Team Cap, I hear you, man. It's one of my favorites.
Man, you'd be out there wrecking more people than cooties.
You have no idea.
Only I
used to
would.
plan this stuff. I'm not serious. With I used to plan it out, dude. It's like, okay, which system would I go after first? That's a no-brainer to me. But anybody that messes with children, I'm like, okay, well, there's no court date, but good luck with that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't advertise it necessarily, but it wouldn't be a good thing. Who would I become? So it's like, it's a fine line, man.
Yeah.
God is the ultimate judge.
Amen.
Period. So, I get it, man.
Yeah, isn't that something? When people actually had God back in the frontier days, they wouldn't really need any of that judging and all the marshals, and they don't need the law. It's like everyone has a reasonable moral compass. It's like, no, man, you stole my horse.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it's like
it.
you stole my horse. You gonna die.
Yeah,
I'll be your huckleberry. Yeah, you better believe it.
You stole my horse, and
Color
you're gonna
of the
get
web.
shot.
Yep.
And that's why nobody stole horses, because they'd get
Yeah.
killed.
Right. Get a rope.
Well, you gonna pull those pistols or whistle Dixie?
That's it, man. That's it, dude. I love it. I love it. Classic. Absolute classic.
Get 3 coffins ready.
So
By
you're
the
a
way, he
fan,
did
too.
come out with a new one very soon.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Cry Macho or something. Yeah, it's
What?
like another Western that Clint Eastwood came out with. I think he's like, what, 91 now or something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, my goodness, man.
Yeah.
He's knocking on death's door, but that's interesting. We have to check that out. Have you seen it? Or is it out yet?
No, but my mom really wants to see it.
Big fan
yeah,
of
she-
his, always have
it-
been, all the way back to
yeah.
the spaghetti westerns.
Oh, yeah, she was a fan of him whenever he did Rowdy Yates.
Yeah, man. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
my
my
parents
household-
are boomers. They grew up with that, so I know how
Sure.
it is.
Yeah, that's it, man. My dad made sure I was ingrained with the classics, man. It was John Wayne and it was all of it, all the westerns,
Yeah.
Gabby Hayes. So I get it. There's a lot of culture there, but
Well,
I can't
Pilgrim.
I love it. And look, that's what me and Max talk about too, because he's big time into this stuff. I can't watch anything new. I try. It's like there's a few decent sci-fi shows every now and then, but they have to throw in the narrative. It's like I was talking about with Star Wars and Star Trek. Star
Oh,
Trek's
yeah.
a huge thing with me. I've got a lot of passion with that. It's dead to me now.
Yeah, I
I
could
can't
never
even-
get into it as a kid. I could never get into Star Trek.
Man, I love it. Super.
You never had a good. You didn't grow up with a good one. You're too young.
No, well,
I was gonna say by the time you started watching it was Deep Space Nine. maybe
Yeah.
Well,
next gen.
well, I mean, the time that I had actually seen Star Wars for the first time, that was whenever they had remastered it, like in the 90s.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
They added in some. Lucas added in
Garbage.
some junk, but the basic story is still kind of there.
Yeah.
We're old. We actually saw Star. I saw the
Oh.
Ewok one in the theaters. That was one
Yeah,
of the-
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Summer of '77. I was 8 years old. Never forget it,
No,
Yeah.
yeah. May the
Oh,
4th
well.
be with you.
And
man.
I think
That's
Ewoks
it.
came out. Ewoks came out in '84. I think.
83.
Yeah, 83.
83?
And that same
So
year,
Yeah, I would have been 5.
yeah, that same year, whenever whenever they asked Mark Hamill, I think it was Schwarzenegger's now ex-wife had interviewed him and said that so like what is it about like these movies and all that stuff, and he goes, oh yeah, it's also followed around these 2 droids. It's like they're in like the 3 trilogies, the 9 stories, and he said that
Right.
back in 83.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was his original inception. And of course Disney had to step along because I get it. Is he had all that backlash about Jar Jar Binks and the whole fiasco. But you know what? Those prequels are like Shakespeare now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Comparison.
saying? Oh my goodness.
Comparatively.
It's
Oh yeah,
absolutely-
I know Mark Hamill hated the new ones.
Yeah, we was talking about him earlier. He's one of the most
Yeah.
woke people ever, but he called it out for what it was. Give him a
Yeah.
lot of credit for that. He's like, this is just Bravo Sierra. Really? You're going to do this to this storyline? That's just sad.
I mean, for a guy who did the voice of the Joker, you'd think that he'd just be like, "No, you can't run it like this."
And he did. He did
did.
try that. Yep. Sure did.
did.
And
And what's his face? Rian wasn't having it.
yeah, Rihanna Johnson.
Yeah, Rihanna Johnson,
Brute.
Who?
the guy
Ryan
that's never gonna make another movie in Hollywood, really,
Yeah, Ryan.
Oh, okay.
other than his pet projects.
Oh, we'll take Ray, that's a nobody, and have no backstory, and throw that
Well-
away, and she'll end up being a Palpatine, and she's just the ultimate Mary Sue.
Oh, that
and
was-
just
That was
Oh,
that was JJ. That was JJ Abrams,
oh.
who has never finished a series in his entire life.
no. And I
Um,
loved Bad Robot when they first done it. I really did.
Yeah.
He had a couple
Well-
of shows that were great, and then after that, I was like, "Who is this guy? And what is he?" Lens Flare.
Well,
Star
he had
Trek. What?
Abrams has a huge problem finishing stories,
He does.
and I'd argue that Steve King has the same problem, where
He
they just
does.
don't know what to do.
Right.
Everything
Yeah.
is all about the run up, and it's not about actually coming to a finality and a good conclusion with any of these guys. So And when J.J. Abrams did the last Star Wars one, he didn't want to even do it. They probably had to
That's
triple
right.
what they were going to pay him in order to make him
Yeah.
come in there. And he just came in there and wrote out the entire middle picture.
That's
It's
it.
like, oh, yeah, that Johnson guy did say, oh, we're not going to worry about that. She's a Palpatine now. And it's like, all
Yeah,
right.
forget
Yeah.
canon, forget story. You know,
Yeah, no.
cookie cutter acting.
He
Who are
doesn't-
these people?
He didn't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
He
I want
didn't care.
sustenance. I
He
mean,
didn't
come
want to
on.
do it. He didn't want to do it because Disney had their finger in all his stuff. And he's like, well, I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to do any of it anymore.
Yeah, because they
And-
reneged on their promise. You know,
And it's
even-
like,
Yeah.
the number one, he was the worst guy to do it. But number two is he didn't care because
Yeah,
he's
that
just
point.
whatever. Well,
Right.
do whatever you want. And
right
eh,
now he's laughing all the way to the bank. He's gonna watch it fail and then buy it for pennies on the dollar.
yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I was younger, one of the things that I really wanted to do is I wanted to make my own movies.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to make it
That's
that had
cool.
like a good story plot, that had good characters. And of course, I'd just be like, and look, I'd say back then I was like, I don't care, like, which side of the political spectrum or whatever you're on. I mean, it's like, if you can if you can play the part, you got the part.
You mean
And,
like back before the 2000s when that's how movies
Oh,
were done?
oh
Right.
yeah, like do
When
it
they
way
actually-
back then.
When they actually tried to make a good movie so they could make money, whereas now they have
Yeah.
so
Yep.
much free money, they just don't care. It's just push an
Yes.
agenda, push an
Yeah.
agenda.
Right. They
Yeah.
used to actually listen to their
When you-
fans and give
when
them
you-
what they wanted.
When people went from being customers to being consumers,
Yep.
and it's
Yeah.
like, we're all one big monopoly. We'll just have to put something out so they can consume it. And if they don't like it, it's their fault.
I mean,
They're
how do you
not
go
doing-
from
They're not doing their
Social
job
justice
consuming.
warrior narrative.
These people don't understand they're consumers and they're supposed to be consuming.
No, they don't even understand the content that they're creating. That's
I
what's
guess
sad
they-
about it. They don't care.
they don't want to consume that of a Sling Blade, I guess. I want some of them French fried potatoes.
I like the way you talk, boy. No mustard on that biscuit.
You know, he got
That
his
was a
start.
great movie.
He got his start in our favorite movie, Tombstone.
Oh yeah,
You know, it's his
Yeah,
very
Kurt
first
Russell
show.
slapping him around.
Yes. And I didn't even know it was Billy Bob Thornton. I saw this. I said,
Yeah.
how did they get somebody with autism to act?
yeah.
I'm not kidding. I didn't really know who he was.
Yeah.
He's relatively new. And my friend was like, dude, it's Billy Bob Thornton. I'm like, what?
When he was
Wait a
100
minute.
pounds overweight.
Dude, he pulled
You see him
that
now, he's like a stick figure. He's like
Yeah.
80 pounds or something.
Yeah, probably dating, being with Angelina Jolie for so long. I think it messed his mind up.
I don't know.
Yeah, with those blood vials and everything.
You got it. That's what I was going to say. Exactly.
Yeah, my mom was telling me about that. It's like, ugh, really? I mean, no wonder Brad Pitt left her too.
Yep. Psycho. Ooh. But she's a cabalist too. She came out with that years ago,
Yeah.
just like the rest of the gang. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. You think her dad had something to do with it?
I think they're all in the same club. And it's-
They probably are.
They're probably all of their relationships are probably just decided. Here's who you're going to take pictures with and pretend you're married to. All right, whatever.
Wow.
I
Well,
mean,
it's
did you
just
see
a
the last thing that I saw on Drudge Report was like Batman, the new Batman, Ben Affleck.
Oh, yeah.
please.
He's back with like Jennifer Lopez that he was married to 25 years ago or
Yeah.
something, right? And it's like, really, or did people just need to get their careers going, or what?
Mm.
Who knows? Maybe it's true love.
Oh yeah, like the scene from Shooter. It's like, yeah, the same people who said that artificial sweeteners were safe, WMDs were in Iraq, and
Yep.
Anna Nicole married for love.
That's
Yeah.
it, man. I love it. I love good movie.
Yeah, yeah, and especially when he walks in there and he's just looking at the copy of the 9/11 Commission report, and he's like, "All right,
Yep.
all right, boy, let's see what lies they're going to tell us today."
Yeah, no doubt. No
Well,
doubt, man.
was
Put
it
it all
from
in there?
official NASA Disney Pluto?
Pluto. You can't make it up.
Oh, but I thought that wasn't a planet.
They're
They
trying to
actually-
decide.
Yeah, I remember I was in 7th grade when they had that discussion when it first came up. I'll never forget it. I think it's been demoted. I'm like, what? It's a planet. It's Pluto. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's just a meteoroid or whatever, just a surrounding body. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Who comes up with this crap,
Man.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there's your corpuscular rays.
That's it, man.
Corpuscular rays.
So you do the geometry, it says 60 million miles away when you do the geometry on that, right?
Right in your face. Magic.
Yeah. Yeah. No lights or camera action needed.
Yep. No doubt, man. No doubt. Either have eyes to see it or you don't.
And ears to hear.
Yes, sir. Amen.
Because if you can hear the ocean, it's like, okay, it's moving.
Right. Right.
And my favorite is all the old technologies that just wouldn't work if you're on a globe. You know, lighthouse. What's a lighthouse supposed to do if you're on a curve, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just gonna just flat out say every
Flat out.
single weapon system the military uses depends on the Earth being flat.
I was just gonna go.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything.
And all the documentation from the
All it
military.
says
flight,
treat the Earth as a flat, not rotating plane. Yes.
you got it. Right. Yeah, that blew my mind. I was like, okay, let me go back and look at this. Weapon
So that's-
systems. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say really quick, when you mentioned that, when it showed that lighthouse, I was thinking, oh, is that what Jonathan Edwards, that preacher, meant when he said like the whole thing of, the city on a hill?
Interesting.
Isn't
Yeah.
the city on the hill Vatican?
Well,
Vatican
yeah,
City.
the city that sits on 7 hills, but this just talking about singular.
Right, but the
Gotcha.
Vatican, the actual Vatican castle thing sits on a hill.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
sits
it's
on
Rome.
one of the 7. Yeah.
Which I don't get how people think that it's like, the 7 hills or something like that. That there was one guy that was trying to claim it was that of like Saudi Arabia. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, I know it. I know it. I hear that kind of stuff. I'm like, man, what are you reading?
Well, can anyone think of a time that the Vatican didn't exist? No. So that
Yeah.
pretty much means it's them.
Yep.
And the governments
Yeah.
come and go. What's always there? The Vatican in some way, shape, or form.
Because Peter
Yeah, I
was
wouldn't
the
be
rock.
surprised if they're the ones pushing the Great Reset.
So, anyways,
Oh,
the people,
absolutely.
someone mentioned something about a dome and what it looks like in the sky. And yes, they are 100% right. I don't remember who it was, Josh or Darren. And saying that, it looks like a dome in the sky. And it's like, yeah, that's what flat earthers pretty much believe because we don't know. It kind of seems like that's what everyone believes is up there. And it makes a lot of sense that the dome is rotating. That's how you have the rotation of the sky. But what's the real question is you have this one star in the middle that never
Thank
moves.
you. Thank you.
And then you've got, this
Yep.
is a time-lapse photograph of all of the stars moving around it perfectly in unison. And you want to tell me if we're
Clockwise.
streaking through the galaxy with everything spinning every single which
It'd be
way.
like on Star Trek, it would be going a different direction.
Yeah, you wouldn't have stars that would line up like
Right.
this over the
got it.
period of the entire night.
Yep,
So-
that'd be. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's all you.
No, they'd be streaking by just like in the Ready Room in Star Trek.
Yeah, you
Same
wouldn't have a
thing, you
North
look
Star.
up- Right.
You
Right.
can. This North Star has been in the same spot forever, and
Yep.
you have monuments that point that you can look through and see the North Star
Yes, sir.
over years and years, thousands of years, whatever they were put up.
That blows the globe to me right out of the water. There's so many
Absolutely.
just single proofs, but that that's very interesting. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So we got anything else, guys? We've been going for like 3 hours. So
Wow,
Yeah.
we're really putting in the overtime.
it's been fun.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like once you get fixated on a topic, it's hard to shut up about it.
It is. Yep. Me and Max can talk all for days, but it's we all got things to do. I'm actually off tomorrow. I mean, I can keep going. It's just whatever you want to do, man.
Oh well, we got to save some for later, right?
Yeah.
I think we've covered pretty much just about everything for considering we didn't have too much of a topic other than, of course, our Great Reset and whether or not people believe in it. Most of the people here, watch me and on this channel know what's up. And just want to point it out to everybody that this is a planned thing to go on until 2025.
And then the aliens show up.
Whatever they're going to do. But it's a planned thing to reset the economy, and they have until 2025. Whether or not they'll get it done. Now, look, guys, that's the plan. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Right. Because they make plans all the time for all sorts of stuff. But it's just the people have to allow them to do it.
Right.
And like I said, be the little grain of sand that goes into the clock gears.
You read my mind.
Get a few more friends to be little more grains of sand in there in the clock gears, because if they don't hit their timelines, the odds of people continuing to be under the cootie spell or something like that, it dwindles day after day.
Right.
It gets less and less. So they have to kind of strike when the iron is hot. And there's been many things. We should probably talk about that, on some stream where we talk about the things that they've tried to implement that they failed at. Because there's a lot.
That's a good
idea. I said that, I try at a lot of things. I fail at something. I try new things every week and fail at 99% of them. And that's just whatever. But they do too, and it's just, they're really persistent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places in which they failed. I'll give up one off the top of my head relating to economics. They failed with the Omero.
Yep.
They wanted to unite
yeah.
Canada, United States, and Mexico for the longest time. It was every single year we want to do the American treaty. We want to have the Amero, and they couldn't do it here, but they got it passed over in Europe, and they have the Euro coin. They couldn't do it here, though. And granted, they have free trade and all that stuff passed, but we don't have an Amero. They failed.
Yeah. It's the Bilderbergers, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Alex.
It's like the about the FEMA camps and the Amero.
Yeah. Well, they have the FEMA camps built, but I don't know what those are. I think those are there for people, like I said, to voluntarily go. And
yeah,
I don't
and the big black coffins too.
There'll be a lot of, they're going to need a lot of coffins if they try rounding
man.
people up. I mean, there's a lot of coffins. They won't have anybody left. The last thing that they'd want is a hot war with people in America.
Right.
I mean, you think Afghanistan was bad. Whew. It is a couple, 150 million armed Americans versus the million people in the army. I mean, come on.
Right. Not even a chance.
Not even close to a chance.
Right. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. Red flag laws are trying to be, implemented. So it's going to be this individual, that individual, this person next. So it's compliance, complacency, and apathy. That's going to be the main causes behind most of this.
And hey, when they're starting to discriminate against people or round anybody up or try and take someone's kids or all that stuff, you better say something or stick up for these people, because eventually you're going to be left, and ain't going to be nobody but you and your chickens and your gun, and good luck. And that's all there's to that.
Quote. Right.
Yeah. And that's even why here in this state, they had it to where it's like the local and state cops aren't going to enforce anything when it comes to the gun laws, but it's like the feds could try to do it, but except they need to have the support of the state and local in order to make that happen.
Absolutely.
So and we actually got it with teeth. So that way, if the local and state cops basically infringe on that, then they get fined $50,000 for each offense.
Amen. Yeah. Hold them accountable. That's
it.
Yeah. What your sheriff's all about. Know your sheriff. Have those discussions and find out where they stand, because they're elected officials, and they actually work directly for the individual. That's what separates them. So
yeah, they're supposed to keep their oath.
That's it. But again, me and Max will argue which oath. Some the older ones get it, but primarily the new ones don't care. They're not taught what they need to be taught fundamentally.
Yeah.
In these courses or these classes. It was different for me. It was 91. So it was a different world then. I'll say that. Today, it's just jackboot, brown sharing. It's goose step and morons. And that's true. Yeah. Because they do hire people and they go out of their way for that. Are you going to, be a team player? Sure.
Yeah.
They
do that same thing when it comes to jury, when it comes to selecting a jury, when people don't realize that it's the whole thing of jury nullification. It's this is how you beat that bad law. If you know that guy is he's not beating his kids, he's not doing anything illegal, and it's they're trying to bring him up on some Trump charges, and it's the jury can just decide, nope, not guilty.
It's not that. It's that they can create a bad law and you can be guilty of it,
Sure.
but then the jury can go in there and say, well, the law is dumm.
Right.
So
Right.
Disagree
let
with
them go.
Right. That's what I mean.
Right.
Right. That's
Sure,
your
we
that's your
got
jury nullification. It's like for in Minnesota anyway, if you're a felon and you get caught with even like an air gun or a wrist rocket or something like that, it's an automatic 2-year prison sentence. And you're gonna go in there and you'd be like, okay, well, I had a broken air gun and they're trying to give me 2 years in prison. And you go there and you say, well, you guys, yeah, I had the air gun, but do you think I really need 2 years in prison for that? I mean,
Incredible.
and in Minnesota, because they're so commie liberal, they probably wouldn't care. But a lot of places would say that law is ridiculous,
Sure.
especially
like-
Absolutely.
They
You
would
gotta-
have to
you
show
gotta-
intent.
you got a felony for like tax evasion or something. It's like, what does that have to do with guns? Nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
There's no
nothing.
victim,
give-
there's no crime. That's
there
the
are
way I
some
look at it.
like Washington State so commie that they give you felonies for driving without a license if you
Oh,
do it
yeah.
enough times.
Absolutely.
And it's like and so then if they have a law like that where if you get caught with an air gun or someone says you have an air gun or something, they threw you in prison for 2 years because you drove without a license too many times. Like what?
Yeah.
And that's the goal, is to make everyone a felon and to take away people's mobility rights and
Bingo.
whatever they could possibly do to disarm as many people and keep as many people in the prison industrial complex as possible.
You got it.
And
Yep.
you go in there and you start talking jury nullification, they'll immediately, if you don't want to do jury duty,
Yep.
just say that. Just say,
Yep,
yeah, I'm
that's
really
that-
anxious to use jury
Yeah.
nullification.
No doubt. That's
And
worked
they'll-
for a couple of my friends. They did the
You'll
same
be-
thing.
You'll be dismissed by both attorneys
Sides, right.
instantly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can't know the fundamentals,
All right. So that's what we got, guys. And thanks for hanging out.
I've enjoyed it.
We all learned
Yep.
something.
It was great.
We all learned something.
Better believe it, man.
And let's hope that God protects us through all this thing, which we're not really worried about. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of everybody is going to be tested, and people have already been tested as you go through this. And it's like you got to
Sure.
draw on the Lord for strength. And the more practiced you are, and the more hurdles that you overcome, the stronger that you get, to where some
Yep.
things just don't even bother you at a certain point. It's kind of like,
Amen.
it's like, really, that's the best you got. Oh, we can take care of this, and you start
Amen.
getting you start getting a little cocky in your power and your abilities, and but
Well, that's where we
sometimes,
find our comfort and peace and joy in Christ.
Amen.
all right, but so I don't know. You guys got any closing stuff or?
God bless everyone. I've enjoyed it. Just be strong. We live in an interesting world right now, and we know what's going on. Have no fear.
Yeah.
Amen.
Definitely 2 Timothy 1:7. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
Amen.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. Acknowledge him in all thy ways, and he shall direct thy paths. Also, verse 7, fear the Lord and depart from evil.
Yeah,
Amen.
departing from evil, and I didn't think that there was anything in there about it being easy.
No, we're
it's
going to
like-
suffer here.
Well, I mean, even following where the Lord wants you, sometimes the Lord doesn't want you somewhere. It makes it difficult.
Yep.
And extremely difficult and more difficult. And it's like, well, if you kind of just go where God seems like he wants you to go, it may be easier for you, And
Sure.
like people want to fight their jobs about all this stuff. And it's like, well, why would you still want to work there, fighting over the mask or fighting over getting jabbed or fighting over all this stuff? It's like,
Right.
you think that's ever going to go away? Do you really still want to work at a place that wants to treat people like they're cattle? Really?
That's
I'm
right.
all for fighting, but also at the same token, it's like, well, maybe you should be out looking for someplace else to go, and
Amen.
you can
That's where
you can
I'm at.
you can fight that battle, legally or something when you're in a little better place
Right.
for work. Everyone's got their things, and everyone's situation is different. It's kind of like you talk about the Wild West. It's like, yeah, that's how you can figuring out which areas are commie and which ones are pretty free. It's
Right.
the Wild West right now in states and just different counties and different whatever fascist, globalist, monopolist companies happen to be in your neighborhood, whether or not they're going to do any of this mask stuff or or whatever. Maybe you're in a smaller place that doesn't have any of that. Everyone's
Sure.
a little different situation.
Yeah, look into
And,
things, check it out, and try to do what's best for you. The Lord will guide you and just direct you. That's what it comes down to. Pray for that guidance. Put on your armor.
All right, guys. And there we have it. And to all, a good night and God bless. Frank, we'll see you in Mexico. And with that, we'll see you later.
Take it easy.